Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Sacramento Local Agency Formation Commission dated Wednesday, April 3rd, 2019. This meeting is called to order. And if the clerk will please call the roll.
Commissioner Peters?
Here.
Greenwood?
Here.
Ashby?
Here.
Frost?
Here.
Jones?
Here.
Little?
Here.
Aquino? Here. Thank you. We have a quorum.
And please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. This meeting of the Local Agency Formation Commission is cablecast live on Metro Cable 14, the local government affairs channel on Comcast, Consolidated Communications, and AT&T Uverse. The meeting is also webcast at www.sacramentometrocable.tv. Today's meeting will be repeated Saturday, April 6th at 2 p.m. and Sunday, April 7th at 1 p.m. on Channel 14. This meeting is also closed captioned. We ask that you please turn off your cell phones or noise-making devices. Speaker slips are located on the table at the back of the room and on the front podium. Please fill them out and hand them to the clerk, Diane Thorpe, and I thank you very much. And the next item is public comment from the floor. If there are any who wish to speak or address any items to the commission that are not on the agenda, this would be a time for that. And seeing nobody with raised hands or waving papers, we will move on to the next item. If the clerk would please read it, please.
Items 1 through 4, the consent calendar.
Okay, do we have,
Madam Chair, I move to approve.
Consent. Or I'll second Commissioner.
okay, motion by Commissioner Greenwood and second by Commissioner Jones. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, please.
Next item is item number 5, proposed fiscal year 2019-2020 budget.
Well, good evening, Chair and members of the Commission. This evening we have the proposed budget for your consideration. It's a status quo budget. It's the same as the amount was last year. So there's no increase in any assessments to any of our contributing agencies. What we're asking for this evening is that you accept this proposal and direct me to route it to our to the cities, counties, special districts as our contributing agencies. They'll have 30 days to review and provide any comments they have, and then we'll bring it back. We suggest we come back on June 5th. That way we have a statutory deadline of June 15th to adopt the budget this fiscal year. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Yes, Commissioner Aquino.
Second to last paragraph on page 3, it references fiscal year 2016-17. Is that correct, or?
Okay. Page 3?
Yes, one paragraph up from the bottom, or two.
Estimated fund balance.
Oh, I apologize. That needs to be updated. That should be updated for this fiscal year.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions, comments, motion to approve?
With that change, I move to approve the budget.
Second. Motion by Commissioner Peters, second by Commissioner Jones. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Well,
Are we going to use
I guess
the
we're using
screen, or?
the screen. Sorry.
Oh.
Okay, I think we're good.
Thank you. All in favor?
Okay, and I just want to apologize. I had it in my mind that I was going to welcome and introduce 2 new commissioners this evening. Commissioner Chris Little, who is a longtime alternate LAVCO board member and a business owner in Sacramento. Welcome, Chris. and Sarah Keno, who is the Vice Mayor of Folsom, City of Folsom, and former board member on the Folsom Cordova Community School District Board. And so welcome,
Thank
both
you.
of you. And they have both been sworn in prior to this meeting, and so their votes count. Okay. And with that, we will go to next item, please.
The next item is item 6, City of Sacramento, Natomas Panhandle Reorganization.
Okay, this is a public hearing, which is now open. I wanted to make a couple of comments before we proceed with this agenda item. This is, hopefully we can work our way through this in an orderly way. What I'd like to do is ask that our staff present their report on this item, and Don Lockhart, if you have any additional comments or any additional items to discuss, then we will be inviting the City of Sacramento, followed by the representative for the landowners in the handle, followed by any of the service providers who wish to make any public comments, followed by Rio Linda Alberta Recreation and Park District to make their presentations. And I think, out of fairness to everyone, those presentations, you can take what you need to present your comments. And then we will follow up with public comments. In our public comments, I'm going to hold the public comments to 2 minutes. And if you can, try to carefully articulate what you have to say within 2 minutes. We have a lot of people here this evening, and that'll help us stay on task. And I'm going to try to keep everyone to that in order to be fair to everyone. Then we're going to close the public hearing, and we will proceed with board deliberations. During the staff report, if any of the board members have questions, you can press, there's a button on your, for those who are not familiar, there's a button on your computer screen that you can request to speak, and it will show up on my screen, and I will call you in the order that you have requested to speak. And so with that, I will invite the staff's report.
Thank you very much, Chair. Members of the Commission, to be clear, the project before you is a reorganization. A reorganization is actions by your Commission of one or more changes of organization. In this case, there's an annexation proposed to the City of Sacramento, and then detachments from County Service Areas 1 and 10, detachment from the Natomas Fire Protection District, detachment from County Water Maintenance Zone number 13, and then detachment from Rio Linda Alberta Recreation and Park District. You'll also be asked to consider the adequacy of the environmental impact report that was prepared and has been certified by the City Council as the lead agency. This proposal was initiated on behalf of the majority of affected landowners within the Handle area. It was initiated by resolution of the City Council. The action of the City Council to do so is enabled the comprehensive related planning entitlements to be folded in so that there's clarity for the public and the clarity for your Commission what type of land uses one can anticipate to be there in the event the annexation reorganization is approved. The Panhandles, as I said, is about give or take 600 acres, 589 acres. It's in the North Natomas Community Plan area. If you're familiar with where Arco Arena, Arco Arena, I don't know, it was renamed several times. To the east of that, there's an unincorporated peninsula that starts at I-80 and goes up to Elkhorn Boulevard. This proposal is between Del Paso Road north to Elkhorn Boulevard. It's got city properties, city territory on the west side of developed Regency Park single-family subdivision. On the east side, there's a portion of Valley View Acres subdivision, which is a rural estates project also in the city limits. The site itself is undeveloped, uninhabited. There are fewer than 12 registered voters there living there, so that's why we're deferring to the landowner process. It included one of the points what we need to be sensitive to, your commission needs to be sensitive to, is the financial aspects of this proposal. The entitlements that the city did process through included 6 different development agreements, and each of those development agreements carries with it the Panhandle Infrastructure Program, Public Financing Infrastructure Program. That's designed to be separate but coordinated and complementary to the North Natomas Community Plan, Public Facility Financing Plan, so that there's essentially an even playing field for developer expenses and developer reimbursements throughout the community plan area. And generally speaking, the infrastructure touches upon the cost of all the improvements and the financing methodology. So that's covering streets, it's covering open space and park facilities, it's covering the both the wastewater system infrastructure as well as the municipal water system infrastructure. So it's a comprehensive means of financing that is, again, the idea is to provide clarification to the public what to expect, and your commission as well. One of the unusual things about this proposal, it's been in the city of Sacramento's sphere of influence since 1996. The portion below Del Paso has been in the sphere since the early 90s. It's largely, that's being referred to as the PAN. That area is largely developed as unincorporated light industrial back office kind of job centers. That's not part of this proposal. The landowners in that area are not supportive of annexation for fiscal concerns primarily. So that's why the configuration, after the city spent a considerable amount of time working with the landowners and the representatives south of Del Paso, after about 20 years, it was thought there might be a better way to approach the opportunity to annex the lands north of Del Paso. So the city council, when they adopted the resolution, reconfigured just to have the uninhabited, undeveloped portion north of Del Paso, the handle. One thing, it's discussed pretty clearly in the report, but I want to make, for the benefit of the audience as well as the commission, this proposal does include various detachments. One of the affected agencies is the Rio Linda, Alberta Recreation and Park District. When they were configured, changed from a dependent to an independent, from a county service area to a dependent recreation and park district that is ultimately now an independent park district, the means of fiscal financing was given the chance for some creative solutions. So the boundary of the district, well, it serves primarily the community of Rio Linda. That's where their physical investments are. Their territory goes over to Highway 99, which is considerably more territory. They have, and it also includes this area, both the handle and the pan. They've got it's worked well for their sustainability of their fiscal well-being. The value of the land south of Del Paso, because of the nature of the development, really contribute about 40 or more, give or take 35-40% of the operating budget for the district. And the district is not engaged in providing services there, so it's a pleasant revenue stream that the city was sensitive to in reconfiguring this to have the PAN funding not be changed or adversely impacting the district. So while you look at the configuration, and we have discussion in the report, I'm happy to answer questions. Generally speaking, your commission wants clear and certain boundaries. We do have clear and certain boundaries. We are using the established boundaries of the existing city limits and with the center lines of both Elkhorn and Del Paso Road. There are exceptions both through our local policies and the state law that permit the creation of an island. It's if you make the findings that they're not doing harm or causing detriment or trying to avoid areas that might be less fiscally sound. None of those things are applicable here. So while it's discouraged, it's not prohibited to create an island under LAFCO law. One of the thoughts about this configuration of the boundary, including the detachment of the Rio Linda Parks, Alvord Parks, is that this would be a means of building neighborhood cohesion for the future residents of this area. As I say, right now it's vacant lands, but it's expected that there'll be about 4,000 or so folks living here over the course of build out of this 600 acres. So it'll allow them to be more closely well knit into the community of North Natomas. There's typically in the county general plan divides the unincorporated area into community plan areas, and they use the Steelhead Creek Natomas East Main Drain Canal, which is on the east side of this project, as a dividing line between the community of Natomas and the community of Rio Linda. There's not a lot of interface between the communities. The folks in this area that are living there within the city tend to do their shopping and their schooling and that sort of thing within the city limits. Folks on the other side of the canal tend to have their social centers more to the east in the community of Rio Linda, the unincorporated community. So the district did take an action in 2007 to adopt a draft, I think, community plan or plan unit development proposal that was being processed by the city of Sacramento as an appendix to their master plan. It showed some park configuration. It was never adopted. The folks that were pushing that effort essentially were unable to complete that effort. So the plan it has no standing from the city's perspective. It does certainly contribute to the master plan for the Rio Linda, Alberta master plan. As I said, the projected population will be expect to be about 4,000 people here. They will be subject to the various criteria for affordable housing, infill development, a range of housing types for all income types, both move up and entry level, multifamily and single family, in the event the annexation is approved by your commission. The plan for services, which was, we essentially, as your staff, collaborated with the various service providers, the City of Sacramento, for sanitary sewer, the Regional Sanitation District, and others, making sure that the plan menu is viable, the means of finance is realistic, and we recommend approval of, we support the plan for services as presented to you. Within the existing plan unit development that has been approved by the City Council, they do have a fairly robust park system proposed to be run by the City of Sacramento, a 10-acre park and a 5-acre park, as well as tying those into existing, or proposed, I should say, open space trail systems, and both Ninos Parkway and Sotnip Trail. So that these things will be developed over the build out of the area. One of the techniques that as a full service city there are differences between how older cities such as Folsom and City of Sacramento that are more integrated through their service models for public safety, for parks, for public works and planning. In the newer cities such as Elk Grove with Consumnes Community Services District, or Citrus Heights with Sunrise Park District, there it's more, there's a direct relationship between those contract cities, their approval process and the criteria established by the various service providers, be they water, fire, parks, but it's a more varied menu. So one of the things that your commission is encouraged by local policy as well as state law is to seek to combine services where possible and achieve savings and efficiencies in that regard. I think I just want to talk a little bit about the history of the sphere here. This is not a new proposal. There's been proposals for this area going back to the first sphere approval in the early 90s. One of the ideas is, again, to complete a lot of the infrastructure that's been built within the North Natomas community plan within the city has essentially been stubbed out to complete the service model, service loop through this area so that the balance of the city population being served will find some redundancy and some greater consistency or efficiencies in their water pressures and that sort of thing. So there's benefits throughout the city process, throughout the citywide to bringing this in and allowing the various financing mechanisms to contribute to the well-being of the city at large. The city of Sacramento was the first city to be incorporated. It actually predates statehood by a couple of months, but as a result of that, they are a charter city, and so they have a very defined development process that integrates, as I say, public safety, parks, everyone into the process so that to be able to provide services to new development in as seamless a fashion as possible. A recent example similar to this project, your commission had last fall an annexation to the city in the off of Watt Avenue in the south area. Aspen 1, you may recall, it's about 30 acres, much different scale, but it was also that it was in the Cordova Recreation and Park District as well as the Sac Metro Fire District service boundaries. The city worked extensively with both of those service providers to arrange fiscal solutions that then were memorialized in the property tax exchange agreements that were need to be adopted by both the Board of Supervisors and the City Council. Both of those districts were satisfied with the outcome of that property tax exchange agreement. In this case, the property tax exchange agreement has been adopted by the City Council and then by the Board of Supervisors. The board did act at one point to continue consideration of that property tax exchange agreement and asked that or directed that the city and the district go and try to find some common ground. And that's well-tread territory as they've been talking about this property, as I said, since the early 90s, and both positions are deeply and firmly held. So ultimately the property tax exchange agreement came back unchanged, and the Board of Supervisors did vote to approve it. So that does the district did protest. There's written material in your staff transmittal that shows their position. I think, and I want to go back a little bit just to people. If you look at the map, and the island is there. There's no question. So you're creating an unincorporated island as part of this proposal, and that also is going to perhaps, well, if the detachment to the district is approved, then you're going to have an island for the park district to provide services to. It still be a revenue source. With the development of this area, the access for the district's maintenance or operations personnel would be enhanced because you're going to have a better. They already have access via the existing street transportation network, but they'll have a greater opportunity for street and traffic movement. I don't know how much work they do in that area because, as I say, they don't have any facilities down there, but that doesn't mean they don't check things out and just look at the status of things. So in the event the reorganization goes forward, the city of Sacramento would step into the role of all services as discussed, public safety, recreation and parks. The detachment, right now the city is the fire service provider as a contract with the Natomas Fire Protection District, which is a dependent district. That means that the County Board of Supervisors has a contract with the city of Sacramento for their city fire to respond. And I believe they maintain 2 stations, one that's actually in the Pan and one that's further over on the Garden Highway behind the airport. So those services won't be adversely affected by this detachment. One of the things we wanted to find, and we had made findings, is that because the revenue stream right now, with no capital expenditures on the part of the Park District, it's much like the Pan, it's also a one-way revenue stream. In this case, it's for the undeveloped area north of Del Paso, it's about $2,500 a year. The property tax exchange agreement has committed the city to pay that at full $2,500, their current property tax, for the next 5 years to soften the blow a little bit of the transition. As I say, there's no facilities being sacrificed or have to be appraised for transfer. The proposal was subject to the California Environmental Quality Act. An environmental impact report was prepared. Your staff was closely engaged in that as a responsible agency. At our request, the city did include a complete chapter 6, I believe, strictly dealing with your commission's areas of concern. So while the document touches upon the broader picture of the city's concerns, it also touches upon impacts, any environmental impacts that may result as a result of your decision as a commission. So in that regard, the document, I believe, is adequate and sufficient for your consideration. The area also, it's been well studied. It's within the both the city and the county general plans. The county general plan it's within the urban services boundary of the county general plan. However, the area is designated for agriculture north of Del Paso Road. It's in the city of Sacramento's general plan for urban future development area, and it's also in the North Natomas Community Plan, as discussed previously, with the tie in some of the circulation issues and some of the public facility services, that sort of thing. It's also was included with the Natomas Space and Habitat Conservation Plan. That's coverage issued by the state and federal agencies overseeing environmental impacts, or largely species impacts, plants impacts. So one of the benefits of this area being the county is not is not a permittee under that. So as in the event city development does occur, that will be subject to that criteria. That's one of the mitigation measures of the EIR, in addition to other mitigation measures. So you're getting a little bit of a higher return because of the community plan. A water sustainability study was completed. The city of Sacramento has adequate water supplies between the Sacramento River, the American River, and groundwater resources out here. So that's a concern your commission needs to be aware of as well. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. Just to remind the commission that there are several steps in front of you of annexations and detachments, and those are resolutions that would encompass all of those actions are part of your agenda packet.
Okay, Commissioner Greenwood.
Don, thank you. I apologize. I had trouble hearing some of the things you were saying, and I had one clarification I wanted to ask you about. Somewhere toward the beginning of your statement, you mentioned that I heard 35 to 40% of, and I'm not sure, was that the park district revenue?
Yes, 35 to 40% of the property tax revenue that goes to the general fund for the Rio Linda Alberta Recreation and Parks District is generated out of the Pan area, the industrial area south of Del Paso Road.
Oh, the Pan, nothing. There's no nothing in the handle.
The handle's 2,500. It's agricultural land intermittently grazed by sheep and others.
Okay. And also, at one point I read somewhere in our documentation that I thought there was an agreement one time that the Rio Linda Park District was supposed to get $18,000, and somewhere along the line in the negotiations last summer, it looked like it dropped down to $2,500 over 5 months.
There was a previous property tax exchange agreement negotiated before the recession, and there was some considerably different property value at that time. So it was still tied to what was the current revenue stream out of the area, but the property value, because of the recession, was adjusted downward considerably, and that's why the number is now at 2,500.
That's where it came up.
That's
And
the effect.
That number was derived by whom?
It's driven by property by the assessment of the property.
By who? I'm sorry, who?
It's driven by the assessed value of the property by the county.
But was that part of that July settlement in July 18? That there was a.
That was premised upon the assessed value during the 2006, 2010 period, where a lot of property values were considerably higher than they are today.
And then it was changed last year, though.
I'm
Right.
not sure what date was changed on. I'd have to defer to city on the
Okay, I was
on the
just curious about
reassessment.
that. I think that concludes my comments right now.
Commissioner Ashby.
Chair, a request has come to me. There is an elected official in the audience who's a school board member who has another meeting tonight who needs to leave shortly but would like to comment if he could be taken out of order so that he could leave for his next meeting. I don't know if that's allowed, but I thought I would request it is Twin Rivers School Board Trustee Bassem Elkara.
Okay. Did Vassam already
I
fill
believe
out
he
a
did
card?
submit a speaker slip.
Okay, I can accommodate
Thank
you,
you.
sir. Would you like to come up to the podium and identify yourself?
Oh, go ahead.
Vassam, I think I saw it.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Bassem Alcara, trustee for Area 5 of Twin Rivers Unified School District, which covers the Panhandle. In my personal capacity as trustee, I support the annexation and share in the tax share agreement proposal. The Twin Rivers School District and the City of Sacramento partner together on various projects to serve our students who utilize the parks on a daily basis. The Panhandle has been included in the North Natomas Community Plan since 1986. A majority of the area that surrounds the Panhandle has been in the city boundary since 1961 to 1962. The partnership between our school district and the city to serve our parks is critical for our community building and the homes in the area that are needed to generate funding for Twin Rivers schools. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
You're welcome. Any other questions from board members? Okay, at this time, did you have any additional information?
I do not, but I'd be happy to introduce Ryan DeVore, the Community Development Director for City of Sacramento. The city has staff here to answer questions across the board, and he'll be able to introduce the commission to his staff.
Okay, welcome, Ryan.
Hey, thank you. Good evening, members of the commission. I'm Ryan DeVore, Director of Community Development for the City of Sacramento. My team and I are here to present on the annexation of the area known as the Panhandle into the City of Sacramento municipal boundaries. The city has contemplated this action for decades by including the area in our sphere of influence and in our general and community plans. We've spent many years discussing and negotiating this action with stakeholders. The proposal before you includes consideration and approval by the Sacramento City Council and the Sacramento County Board of Supervisors. Finally, in the upcoming presentation, you'll hear about the importance of the detachment of the Rio Linda, Alberta Recreation and Parks District, allowing the City of Sacramento to be the park service provider. This action is critical to this annexation as it provides clear accountability to the residents of Sacramento regarding who is providing service, eliminating unnecessary confusion, and improving efficiencies. The detachment also supports the many years of discussions between the City of Sacramento and the developer regarding proposed park facilities and their integration into the larger park system. At this time, I'd like to introduce our project manager and principal planner, Cheryl Hodge, to provide more detail.
Good evening, Cheryl.
Good evening, thank you. I do have a PowerPoint. So.
Can we have the first PowerPoint, please, Metro Cable?
Okay, good evening, LAFCO Commissioners. As Mr. DeVore mentioned, my name is Cheryl Hodge. I am the new Growth Manager with the Community Development Department at the City of Sacramento. I will be providing an overview of our city-initiated annexation detachments request that is the subject of tonight's hearing. Presentation topics that I'll be covering include an overview of the Panhandle area and background, existing and planned parks, previous Panhandle approvals, and City of Sacramento Department of Youth, Parks, and Community Enrichment will also be presenting this evening. In addition to myself, there are multiple city staff representatives present tonight from Planning, Parks, Finance, and our City Attorney's Office to address questions. This exhibit depicts the location of the Panhandle area that was described earlier by Mr. Lockhart, the area that is subject of the city's LAFCO application, which I'll refer to as the Handle, is approximately 589 acres in size. This area is identified on the exhibit as the annexation area in the upper portion of the Panhandle outlined in pink. The Handle area is predominantly vacant land to the north of Del Paso Road. To the west is Regency Park and Natomas Park, and to the east is Sorrento Road and Valley View Acres, and to the north is Elkhorn Boulevard. The Pan area, which is the lower portion of the area outlined in pink, is unincorporated. It is predominantly developed with industrial and manufacturing uses, and this area is not part of the city's application. I thought it'd be interesting to take a look at some aerial photos of the North Natomas area, including the Panhandle area and surrounding lands. This is an aerial photo taken in 1937, and as you can see, the Handle area is depicted in yellow. I might add roughly, I did try to, it's not perfect for the Handle area, but it does demonstrate the location of the Handle area, and as you can see, the North Natomas area and surrounding area is predominantly all vacant land. By the early 1960s, the North Natomas area had already become part of the City of Sacramento, with the exception of the Panhandle properties. This is a 1985 aerial with the Handle area outlined in yellow. And as you can see, there's some development that has occurred in the nearby community of Rio Linda, but North Natomas is still predominantly undeveloped. Fast forward to 2018, I've outlined the North Natomas Community Plan that was approved in 1986. That's outlined in orange, and then you could see that the Handle area, the 589 acres, is outlined in yellow. You could see also by this exhibit, this aerial, that there's been quite a bit of growth, with the exception of the Handle area, which remains predominantly vacant land and underutilized and undeveloped. The North Natomas Community Plan was approved in 1986. The Panhandle area is included in those boundaries. That exhibit is shown to the left. And to the right, I have a correction. It says 1997 for the Sphere of Influence Amendment that was approved by LAFCO, but it was actually on October 2nd, 1996. So the exhibit on the left in the upper portion of the exhibit does show the Panhandle area. The Panhandle area does not have any parks. The city has a park system that's been well planned for North Natomas, including the Handle area. The subject of Parks and Rec will be covered in more detail in our presentation later on. This slide shows the Rio Linda, Alberta Rec and Park District boundaries. It shows the existing parks for Rio Linda within those boundaries, and then the Panhandle area is circled in yellow. This is the development plan for the Panhandle, specifically the Handle area, that was approved by City Council on July 3rd, 2018. The development plan will provide for 56 net acres of park and open space uses. This includes 2 parks, a 10-acre park and a 5-acre park, multiple trails, and multiple bikeways throughout the development plan. I will now briefly cover the area commonly known, as everyone knows it, as the Pan. The Pan is approximately 830 acres in size by itself and already developed and receiving municipal services. No changes are proposed to the Pan. All utility and service providers would remain the same. The Pan is not impacted by the Handle area. These 2 areas are separated by Del Paso Road. The annexation and detachments requested by the city for the Handle area will allow for the planned and orderly development of this vacant, underutilized property. The Panhandle has been master planned for future development by the city and has been part of the North Natomas community for over 30 years. When LAFCO unanimously approved the amendment to the city's sphere of influence 23 years ago to add the Handle area, the LAFCO approval identified the probable permanent boundaries and full services to be provided by the city. The Municipal Services Review and Plan for Services both evaluate the city's ability to provide services to the Panhandle. Because the 589-acre Handle property is not populated with neighborhoods, there isn't any familiarity nor reliance on Rio Linda Park District for park recreational services. However, without approval of the city's requested detachment from the Park District, it is very likely that future city residents of the Handle would be confused if their homes were located in the city, but yet did not receive all services from the city that the rest of North Natomas receives. Would it be justified and right to separate out these future residents of the Handle from North Natomas community and keep them from receiving all city services? No detachment would have significant implications involving Quimby Act, park impact fees, the city's general plan, Panhandle finance plan, North Natomas community plan, citywide parks and rec system, and an overall integrated park rec system that is very specific to North Natomas community. This exhibit here shows a chronology summary of key dates that have occurred over the past 35 years. I'm not going to go through each date, but needless to say, there has been a long history associated with the Panhandle, and the city has diligently planned for this area for multiple decades. This is a good example of the history associated with the Panhandle. This is actually from the Natomas General Development Plan dated December 6, 1962, a city document that shows the Handle area highlighted in yellow and planned for future development. This was 57 years ago. This concludes my portion of the presentation. I will now turn it over to Raymond Costantino with our Department of Youth, Parks, and Community Enrichment to present information related to parks and recreation. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Costino, was it Raven?
It's Raymond Costantino.
Raymond.
Hi, good evening, Commissioners.
Did you have did you turn in one of these
I'm part of
items?
the presentation. Cheryl set it up for me.
I'm just wondering if I should look for it. So
Great.
Thank you, sorry.
So
Keep going.
my name is Raymond Costantino. I'm the Park Planning Development Services Manager for the City of Sacramento Parks Department. We're officially known as the Department of Youth, Parks, and Community Enrichment, also known as YPSI, and simply known as Parks Department. That said, I want to just let you know that I'm going to do a quick overview of the park programming that we provide at the city, park planning efforts, as well as recreation programming and maintenance services that we provide. Our mission is to empower youth, strengthen neighborhoods, and provide life-enriching programs for a beautiful, livable community. Our vision is that our beautiful parks and enriching programs create a thriving community with healthy, strong, and cohesive neighborhoods. Our department serves a population of 500,000 residents. We have an operating budget of $37.9 million, and we have staff, 630 full-time employees as staff. We're divided into 4 different divisions, including Youth Development Division, Community Recreation Division, and Neighborhood Services Division, as well as Park Maintenance, Planning, and Facilities Services Division. Within our Youth Development Division, over the course of 1 year, we serve approximately 18,000 young people through various programs, including landscape and learning, workforce innovation, primetime teen, Young Leaders of Tomorrow, Junior Recreation Aid, Summer at City Hall, Sacramento Youth Commission, Annual Youth Job and Resource Fair, 4th R, START, ACES, Youth and Teen Sports, Hotspots, and Junior Lifeguard Camp. In our Community and Recreation Division, we run aquatic programs, Camp Sacramento, older adult programs, Access Leisure, adult sports, and community centers. We also provide many opportunities for civic engagement through our Neighborhood Services Division, including Park and Recreation Commission, Youth Commission, City Management Academy, Summer at City Hall, Youth Job Fair, and Veterans Day Parade. Through our Division of Park Maintenance, Park Planning, and Ranger Services, our city manages 228 parks and over 3,400 acres of parkland. Our park facilities include 94 miles of bike trails, 17 aquatic centers, 17 community centers, 17, not 15, community gardens, 100 plus sports fields, 200 plus playgrounds, 13 skate parks, 4 golf courses, 11 dog parks, 14 spray parks, 146 sport courts, and 73 picnic areas. We also provide specialized facilities including the Hart Senior Center, the Historic City Cemetery, and Camp Sacramento, an American Camp Association accredited campgrounds in the Sierra Mountains. In regards to Panhandle development, our goal is to determine what are the best parks, programs, and amenities for the future residents of the Panhandle. Based on city standards, this development will provide 15.5 acres of neighborhood and community parks, as well as participate in existing park maintenance districts. The neighborhood park will probably include a tot lot and/or adventure area, shade structure, sports fields, or courts, and a picnic group, a group picnic area. The community park will have probably include a large picnic area with shade structures, community gardens, skate park, restrooms, on-site parking, and sports courts or fields. These are typical amenities. North Natomas residents enjoy a luxury of high-quality parks because residents pay into a financing mechanism that funds park maintenance solely in North Natomas. During the recession, there was never a reduction in level of service in North Natomas because of these stable funding sources, which include citywide park maintenance district, landscape and lighting district, and community facilities district. In addition, the city has no agreements with any other park district, nor do we transfer park fees to other park districts to provide parks, park programming, or park services. Per the city's Park Impact Fee Nexus study, we estimate that the park improvements at the Panhandle will cost $361,000 per acre and an estimated capital cost of $5.6 million to develop 15.5 acres. These funds are earmarked to be spent on Panhandle Park development, which is reported annually through our citywide financial yearly audit and our Park Impact Fee annual report. Because North Natomas was designed as a master plan community, it has more parks than any other community plan area in the city. It currently enjoys a level of service of 13.9 acres per 1,000 residents, far beyond the city's current standard of 5 acres per 1,000 residents. North Natomas community enjoys 357 acres of parkland split between 35 neighborhood parks, 9 community parks, in addition to the North Natomas Regional Park, which has 215 acres. As part of the North Natomas community, Panhandle residents will be able to enjoy all of these parks. Also, the Panhandle development is completely integrated into the larger North Natomas community plan, including the city's park fee structure and finance plans. This development is contributing towards the North Natomas Regional Park Land Acquisition Fund and the North Natomas Aquatic Facilities and Community Center that will break ground later this year. This state-of-the-art facility will be available for all North Natomas residents and will include an Olympic-sized 50-meter pool, 25-yard warm-up pool, a zero-entry activity pool, and 2 water slides. It's only going to be 1.9 miles from the Panhandle development. And based on the direction of the North Natomas community plan, the Panhandle is extending the existing Niños Parkway through the Panhandle to provide a Class 1 bike trail for its residents. In regards to programming, currently North Natomas community enjoys the following recreation programs, including Kids Are It, Showbiz Productions, Dragon Fire Martial Arts, Healthy Tai Chi and Qi Kung exercise, mixed level yoga, 50 plus exercise, energize, and enjoy classes, youth and adult tennis lessons, 4th R child care at 7 elementary schools in North Natomas, Summer Oasis Camp at Regency Park, aquatic programming at South Natomas pools that serve North Natomas participants, including Natomas High School Pool and Doyle Pool. I hope this overview demonstrates what park planning, recreation programs, and maintenance services the City of Sacramento has to offer Panhandle residents. The Panhandle has always been planned to be part of the North Natomas community, and as such, Panhandle residents will expect to be part of the city's park system like all their surrounding neighbors. Before I answer any questions, I'd like to invite Tom Pace, our planning director, to speak.
Thank you, Raymond.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Tom Pace, Planning Director for the City of Sacramento. You'll be relieved to hear that I have a few very brief remarks. I speak in support of the annexation and detachment from the Park District. Tonight, I'd like to share 3 main points with you that address the long history of this project, the proposal's lack of detriment to the Park District, and the fact that LAFCO policies support this request. First, the Panhandle has always been part of Natomas. This project has been contemplated since well before I started working for the City of Sacramento in 1997. The area has always been identified as a part of Natomas, not Rio Linda or Alverta. Second, the Panhandle receives no services from the Rio Linda Alverta Recreation and Park District, as there are no existing park or recreation facilities within the Panhandle project area, and the property is largely uninhabited. As a result, the Park District does not have to spend any money serving the area proposed for annexation, even though it receives $2,500 per year in tax revenue from the area. The city and county have agreed to a tax exchange agreement that ensures the $2,500 will be paid by the city to the Park District for 5 years, even though the district provides no services in the area. As a result, the Panhandle's detachment will not have a significant effect on the district's budget or ability to continue providing the current level of services to Rio Linda and Alverta, and therefore there is no detriment to the Park District in detaching the Panhandle from it. Third, sound principles of planning and LAFCO's own policies call for this area to be annexed into the city and served by city services, including park and recreation services. Doing so will result in most urban services being provided by a single consolidated city service provider, which encourages orderly growth. The city can more efficiently provide services to the Panhandle, as it already provides neighborhood park and recreation services to the neighborhoods immediately adjacent to the Panhandle. The Park District does not. Because the Park District does not provide any services to the Panhandle, there is no way the detachment could significantly reduce the efficiency of service delivery to the remaining inhabitants of the Park District. LAFCO policy calls for service plans of special districts that lie within a city's sphere of influence to provide for orderly detachment of territory from the district as district territory is annexed to the city. For all of these three reasons, the city's application should be approved. Thank you. I and my fellow staff members from the city are available to help answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Pace. I don't have any questions at this time. Does that conclude the city's presentation? Oh, Commissioner Aquino, please.
Just a simple question. I assume that, where did he go, Raymond? There he is. I assume that someone who lives in the city of Sacramento's park district boundaries could enroll in some sort of park program through Rio Linda and vice versa, correct? You don't have to be a resident of your district in order to partake in the programs?
Well, the idea is that if you're a part of a different district, then will you be able to participate in programs that the Parks Department offers where we check your address, like Summer at City Hall, for example, where young people participate in classes at the City Hall. That's, that's the idea, that if the district is providing the park and rec services, then those youth won't be able to participate in this citywide program. And we have many types of those programs at the city.
So, for example, if you wanted to play soccer in a park district that wasn't your own, do you allow that or no?
Maybe I can help. The city, the parks, the soccer districts have their own boundaries.
Okay.
And so that would be a different question. But I think the short version of this answer is that there are many programs that the city of Sacramento provides that are open to anyone. For example, we run a farmer's market in North Natomas, which you'll hear a little bit about later, and anyone can come there. And lots of folks from Rio Linda do, and I'm glad that they do. But there are also some programs that the city of Sacramento runs, like Summer at City Hall, where you have to live somewhere in the city. You have to come from a council district to be approved to come to the program, or 4th R, which is run at a school site. So you'd have to be in the city district, in those limits, and in attendance at that school to participate in that program. So it's not quite as simple as a yes or no answer, to the extent that there are playgrounds or open camps where it doesn't matter where you live, anyone could come. And I can tell you, last year I did an Easter egg hunt that I thought would be only for my district, and 10,000 people came. So I assure you there were many people not from Natomas who came and benefited from that program. But there are also things that are only allowed to be provided to City of Sacramento residents where an address is checked or verified.
Thank you.
So if there was an annexation of the land, but not the park district, if they had an address in the city, they would still qualify for all the programs in the city?
It would depend, and there might be some where they would not. And so, for example, in North Natomas, and this is where North Natomas is a little bit unique, because North Natomas is a master planned community, which is the orange line that you saw on Cheryl's map earlier. Everyone that lives in North Natomas pays an extra CFD, a Community Facilities District fee, and it's a lot. And that funding goes into the City of Sacramento's park maintenance funds, which is why it's true that the City of Sacramento had a lot of parks fall into disrepair during the downturn, but not in North Natomas, because North Natomas leaned heavily on that Community Facilities District funds to fill that gap and hired additional people and things like that. That funding could not be allocated to people who don't pay into it. It's just against the rules, as you all know. And so programs that would be funded with resources like that, of which there are several, no, they wouldn't be able to participate.
Okay, Commissioner Jones.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick question to help understand on the ground here. When you run programs on a fee basis, is that also only limited to City of Sacramento residents, or is that open?
You want me to answer that, or you want Shannon? Shannon Brown is the head of our Parks Department, and she can answer that. But the answer is the same. It depends. Many of our fee-based programs are, like, for example, 4th R. It's an after-school program. It does cost money. It's not free. And but in order to be in 4th R, you would have to live in a certain area. And actually, it's a very specific geographic area. And if you didn't live in that area or didn't pay into that fund, you wouldn't be able to. But Shannon can answer the question.
You did a fabulous job answering that question, but I did want to give a little context to that question because it's something out of an audit we just had conducted a year ago, and out of that audit came a recommendation to begin to look at a fee structure. So that is one of our goals over the next year, is to hire a consultant to really develop those fees. And we are looking at a resident, non-resident fee, especially for our aquatic facilities and possibly camp. But anybody can sign up for the programs, but there might be a different fee assessment later on. But right now there is just one fee, just for regular recreational programs. But more specific programs that are funded by general fund or Measure U, the resident or the child would specifically have to live in the city of Sacramento limits and contribute to that funding source in order to get that benefit.
So hypothetically, in the future, let's say there's even right now, there's a swimming pool, let's say South Park, and someone wants to go there. Right now, it's one entry fee. That or Clooney, it's one entry fee.
Yes.
And so your department is looking at differentiating between residents and non-residents.
Commissioner Jones, can I just intervene on that?
Oh, please, please.
South Park's pool is different than first of all, North Natomas doesn't have a pool yet. Let me take this moment to remind the Parks Department that District 1 is the only part of the city that does not have a public pool, so we're working on that. But once we open that aquatic facility, a portion of the maintenance fees to run that facility will come from the CFD3 funds. Mm-hmm. If you don't pay into that CFD3, whatever offset they put in place, so let's say we give folks a rate that they could have a summer pass, the people who pay into the CFD would get a lower rate than the people who do not, because they're already paying with their CFD on maintenance. So there would be an offset there. So the people that would live in the Panhandle and are part of a Parks Department that is not in the city of Sacramento would be the only ones in North Natomas not able to receive that benefit.
But they wouldn't be paying the CP.
They could still swim, of course, but they would pay whatever everyone else pays, but they don't pay the CFD3.
It'd just be through a different
and I'll give you another example.
Recovery's legit, for sure.
And you're going to hear also from somebody who runs a youth program that has over 700 kids in it. It is also paid for with those CFD3 funds. And so, you have to make sure that the people who are paying those funds are receiving the benefit to the best of your ability. But lots of things that we do are open to everybody, and we try as hard as we can to make as many things open to everybody, but sometimes it just doesn't work out that way. And there would certainly be things that people in the Panhandle would get to participate in just like everybody else, but there would also be things that they would not.
Are the CFD funds the same as SFD? In the finance plan, it showed Melrose that was to be collected in the handle. Is that the same thing, or is that something different?
I don't know what you mean by SFD. The Sacramento Fire District?
In the finance plan, it talked about collection of funds. It looked like Melrose.
Yeah, when Executive Director Lockhart talked about the 6 DA agreements, and that those are development agreements between the folks that develop there. It's not an easy task to build in North Natomas. Because it's a master plan community, there is a very complicated fee structure that people have to pay into, developers pay into it, and then ultimately homeowners pay into it. And so in order for a developer to build in North Natomas, they have to pay into that fee structure. And it's very complicated, and actually Mark Griffin is an expert on it, so could answer any questions that you have. But ultimately what it does is share the cost of things like Niños Parkway or the community parks or things like that that people can benefit from. We wouldn't be able to do any of that So the 50-some acres that you see in this plan, if the city of Sacramento is not the parks purveyor, would not come to fruition in this plan. Because what you see in front of you is an over $20 million proposal. It will be subsidized by the CFD and by the city of Sacramento. Neither of those two funding sources would be available if we don't approve the detachment today.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions before we move on? Okay, I believe the property owner's representative, Mr. Hodgson, wanted to speak. Hi, John.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the LAFCO. I think most of you know my name is John Hodgson. I have a company called the Hodgson Company. I've been involved in the real estate development entitlement business for nearly 30 years in the greater Sacramento area. During that time, I've been involved in probably close to 12,000 acres of development, actual approvals of projects, typically mixed use, 500 to 2,500 acres in size in every one of the jurisdictions that you represent. I'm very familiar with the process, and I'm very familiar with the realities of a project getting approved, and more importantly, getting built. I had some notes that I will use a little, but I think the city folks have made a pretty good case as to why this project should be annexed. All the legal reasons are there. Your staff, on a very thorough analysis, gave you a recommendation of approving this project. I think the big question is the Park District, and the question of who should provide park services. Our 6 owners that I represent, which includes the Twin River School District and 5 other private property owners, in most cases have owned the property 30 to 60 years. These are not speculators. These are folks that have owned this for a long time. When I was asked to participate and assist this, they knew they were going to be in the city because they were in the sphere of influence. They knew they were going to be provided city services. They knew that would be police, fire, all the utilities, and maybe almost as importantly, or most importantly, park services. When you build a community, among the most important things that you need to provide, other than affordable, well-located homes, near amenities, is you need good schools and you need good parks. This area is an urban infill area. 600 acres of which we represent 400. The school's got about 100 that are a school, and there's one property to the north that's still not participating and probably won't for a long time. This is an urban area. It will be an urban infill area, very close to downtown, within 5 or 6 miles. And as a consequence, it needs an urban park district. The city of Sacramento provides those facilities. I can't stress enough how important it is that we have the city parks as our provider. I don't know if we can do this deal without them. I don't know that we could do this deal without them. Because it's very important when a home builder comes in, they say, location, check. Jurisdiction, check. Entitlements, check. Schools, check. Parks, well, wait a minute. We may not have a provider that can provide the parks. I personally and our consultants spent a lot of time and an enormous amount of money over the last 4 years working with the city of Sacramento. We negotiated, we disagreed occasionally, but we always came through and we built what we all think is a very nice project, unanimously approved by the Planning Commission, unanimously approved by the City Council. And that doesn't happen that often, particularly in large projects. So today, I would ask that you not only support the annexation, but as part of that annexation, you make sure that the city of Sacramento provides the parks in our area. If there were to be a change in that, that would cause a delay that could be fatal to this project. And I'm not saying that just to give you, impact. I'm saying that truly. I'm concerned. We have, among other things, 6 development agreements. An agreement between us and the city, recorded on, in title, that says we have to do A, B, C, D, and E. And there's a financing district, a very sophisticated financing district, a financing plan that's created a financing district. And that district, that plan lays out the details of how we pay for these things. And it's complicated. It's as complicated as I've been involved. But it really rolls into the North Natomas Plan. And that's what this is all about. We are part of North Natomas Community Plan. We're part of all the services that the North Natomas community wants and part of the city. With that, I would ask that you approve the annexation and that you approve having the city of Sacramento be the provider of parks in the Panhandle. I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Do we have any representatives from the Sacramento County service areas, water maintenance, or fire district that would like to speak? Seeing none, I am now inviting up Rio Linda Alberta Recreation and Parks to make their comments.
Good evening, Chairperson Frost and members of the Commission. No. My name is Ann Saprell. I'm a lawyer with Best & Krieger, and I represent the Rio Linda Alberta Rec and Park District. Our presentation tonight will just be myself and then Mike Heller, the general manager. We don't have a PowerPoint, so it's not going to take a long time. We're both available to answer any questions after we make our presentations. So as you know, the application before you that the city has brought involves not only the annexation to the city of this territory, but also the detachment from the Rio Linda Alberta Rec and Park District. LAFCO's policies, as you know, both of these changes of organization will create islands. And it will separate the PAN part of the district from the rest of the district, and it will also create an island in the city. There are 2 separate sets of policies that address these 2 reorganizations. They're separate and they have to be analyzed separately. There's been a lot of discussion about the annexation, that the findings required for the annexation to the city. There are 2 government code sections. That one of them says that annexations to a city cannot result in an island, but then the other section creates exceptions to that policy, one of which is if the annexation to the city will result in orderly development and that property cannot be annexed to another city, then it can be annexed to the city. And that's clear. I mean, and that is the standard for approving an annexation that will result in an island. But those government code sections do not apply to detachments from special districts. There is no LAFCO statute that directly applies to detachments from special districts that result in an island. Instead, what controls is your own policies. And I've set forth in our position letter, which is attachment 1 to your staff report, that there are 2 of your own policies that apply directly to annexations from special districts. One of them, the first one says, and this is 4C3, Chapter 4C3 in your policy handbook, that when detachment from a special district will create an island or will detach the boundaries or separate the boundaries, the detachment cannot be approved unless, 1, it is necessary due to unique circumstances, or 2, will result in improved quality or lower cost of service, or 3, there exists no feasible and logical alternative. None of those findings are supported by the facts in this case. First of all, there's no There are no facts pointed out in the staff report. There's a long discussion on pages 9 to 12 of your staff report that discusses all the reasons why this annexation will promote orderly development, and we totally agree with that. The district has no problem at all with the annexation. We think that findings can easily be made. But there are no facts that state why there's some kind of a unique circumstance that would make detaching the territory from the park district necessary. The staff report says that the city considers itself full service and that it's ready and able to provide the park services. But that's not a unique circumstance, and it doesn't mean that detachment is necessary. Second, detachment would not result in improved quality or lower cost of service. The district has an excellent and proven track record of providing consistent and high-quality park services and maintenance, and especially recreational programs. It has never cut back services as the city has during the economic downturn. It's undisputed. No one has come forward saying that the district does not provide excellent park and rec services. And I'll mention this later, the cost to the residents in the Handle for Parks and Rec would most likely be less if the Park District were the provider. Because basically, the Park District would be using its property tax apportionment in the Handle to provide those services. It wouldn't need to, first of all, the district is not going to expect to receive any of the development impact fees. It's not going to need to have a maintenance mellow roofs for parks be created, and it's not going to need the assessments from the city's landscaping and lighting district. Instead, it will just use its property taxes in the area that it's entitled to provide those services. So lower cost, better quality of services for the owners. Third, there exists no feasible and logical alternative. Our position is that the feasible and logical alternative to detaching this territory from the district is to leave it in the district where it is, where it's always been intended to be serviced by the district, allow the district to collect its share of the property tax apportionment until such time as the entire panhandle gets annexed to the city. And I understand that there are issues with annexing the pan, but it's still in the sphere of influence, and therefore we all have to expect that at some point in the future, the pan is going to be annexed. When that happens would be the logical time to detach the entire panhandle from the Rio Linda Park District, because obviously then it would not be creating an island. There is the second LAFCO policy doesn't relate to islands, but it does say, this is 5C1 of your policy manual, that LAFCO shall not approve a detachment from a high-quality service provider unless 3 findings are made, and 2 of those 3 cannot be made in this case. One is that the detachment is necessary to ensure delivery of essential services. That's obviously not true. It's not necessary. And second is that the successor provider, which would be the city in this case, supplies equal or higher quality services. Again, I just don't think that finding is supported by the facts. The district provides at least equal and probably better quality services than the city does. I wanted to address a couple of other things in the staff report and points that have been made. The statement from the developer in your staff report and his oral comments tonight allege that if the property is not detached from the district, it will cause delays. And his statement is that the CEQA review will have to be repeated, and there will be additional public hearings, and the design of the parks will have to be revisited, and the public facilities financing plan will need to be amended. Well, so I reviewed the public facilities financing plan. And first of all, I want to make it clear, with respect to the design of the parks, you know, Appendix I of the district's master plan has shown since at least 2007 the draft what was called the Panhandle PUD. That area, the district has always intended to service the parks in that area. And the district has reviewed the parks that are planned and have been approved, including the Niños Parkway, the bikeways, the pathways, and the 2 parks. And all of those parks do comply with its standards, which are higher. I wanted to also correct for the record, the district's acreage standards are 5 acres of park per 1,000 people. The cities are only 3.5 acres per 1,000. But in this case, that is what I've read in several places.
Not in North Natomas. It's a higher standard.
Okay. Maybe it's because of the additional assessments and special taxes, which we would not need to use. Anyway, the parks that are planned do meet our higher standard of 5 acres. There are at least 5 acres, and we're perfectly happy, the district is perfectly happy with those parks and the parkways exactly the way that they're planned. So no change in design, wouldn't have to go back to the drawing board. The district thinks it's an excellent plan. And then also, those parks, my understanding from reading the financing plan and the plan for services is that the developer is going to build all of those parks and the pathways and the trailways using the impact fee credits, the city's development, the impact fee credits, and Quimby Act requirements that the city will impose. So that's what the financing plan says. We would not interfere with that at all. All the district wants to do is maintain those parks that will be constructed turnkey. We're not going to need any impact fees. Not going to need, those will be provided, and unless, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I've read. And then the plan is, in the financing plan, is that it will be maintained by the city, not using any property taxes, but instead the burden will be on the property owners. There will be a new park maintenance CFD that will be created, so special taxes will be imposed for maintenance on the property owners. The property is planned to be annexed to the city's landscaping and lighting district, so those owners will pay higher landscaping and lighting district assessments. And there will be HOAs, or one or more homeowners associations formed, so that dues will then pay. All those sources will be used to pay for maintenance of the parks. So again, if the property stays in the district, we don't need any of that. We would just use our property taxes, or our existing apportionment, to provide those services. So, going back to the alleged delay, no environmental review would be necessary because there wouldn't be any change in the parks. There wouldn't be any additional impact on the environment that would have to be reviewed. The financing plan is a plan. It identifies financing mechanisms, some of which just wouldn't need to be implemented in order to pay for park maintenance. I don't think that means the plan has to be amended, but just because some of the things might not be implemented. I don't see any reason why additional public hearings would be required. So a couple of the other things that came out with respect the comments about accountability, that the people living in the Handle will want to be assured that they're living in the city, but they're getting their park services provided by the district. And wouldn't that somehow cause confusion or lack of continuity? I don't think that it would. First, I do not think it would cause confusion. Mike Heller has said that what happens when there are new communities to make people familiar with the district services is that an activity guide would be mailed out to every address in the area, The activity guide would be available at local businesses as well as at their community center. That any new park will have signage that will have their name and telephone number so that they would know who to call if there's an issue. For community outreach, they would use social media, flyers at the schools, the activity guide, direct mailing, as well as word-of-mouth outreach to encourage new residents to get involved with the Park District and their programs. Let me see if there's anything else. Commissioner Ashby, I think I went over this, but I just wanted to make sure that I really don't think it's correct to say that city funding and CFD funding would not be available if the land is not detached. Or if the land, is not detached. If what's being referred to by city funding is the impact fees, which I think it is, the impact fees would be, of course, charged with building permits, and that would go towards the construction of the parks and the park improvement and the infrastructure, according to the plan for services and the financing plan. And the CFD funding, again, I just don't think it would be necessary because the Park District would be using its property taxes. So just in summary, I'm happy to answer questions. Please don't detach this territory from the district. All the district wants to do is provide excellent services in that area using its property tax apportionment as is. Thank you.
Okay, and we have a question from Commissioner Ashby.
I wanted to answer your question, but at the request of the chair, I wanted to wait and let you finish your comments. First of all, DA agreements are not transferable, and the DA agreements are with the city, so you would have to begin again in that process. The parks would not be turnkey, but even if they were, that would not be all 50-some acres of parks land, and a turnkey park is a section, usually adjacent to just the housing portion, and therefore none of the rest would be built out. So again, those dollars that you're talking about being turnkey, you made it sound like those funds are available either way. It's not true. The city of Sacramento will have to supplement these 50-some acres in order for them to be built out. So should we not detach, Rio Linda Parks District would have to supplement with their general fund, which means money coming from other parts of the district would have to supplement this to build it out as it is. Quimby PIF funds are partial funds. A CFD or a Melrose is an enhancement. It is not the basis of maintenance for the city of Sacramento, nor is it the basis of maintenance for North Natomas. It is an enhancement to the general fund dollars spent citywide in the city of Sacramento. As you heard, we have an almost $40 million budget.
Services.
Hold on, I'm answering your question. And HOA fees do not ever maintain city parks. HOA fees only maintain parks when a park belongs to the HOA and they construct it and they own it, which is not the instance here, nor is it what is proposed. And as to your question about the North Natomas Finance Plan and CFD funds, the CFD funds go in through the finance plan and are paid to the city. They would not be transferable for any other service. They go to multiple sources, not just parks. They go to utilities, as well as transportation to offset additional costs in the city of Sacramento. So there would not be a way for this area to plug into the CFD dollars from the rest of the area because they would be two different service entities. And as to your question around building permits, as building permits put forward dollars, and we do put those towards PIF and Quimby, but in the city of Sacramento, because we have such a robust budget, we're often able to build parks prior to an entire community being built out, which I don't believe you would be able to do. I don't know the operating budget of Rio Linda Parks District. Do you? The annual parks budget for Rio Linda?
No.
Don't have that number? Okay.
Mr. Heller will.
Okay, well, maybe he can. Mr. Heller, do you know the annual budget for the Rio Linda Parks District?
He'll be speaking in a minute.
Yeah, he'll be
in a
speaking
moment.
next.
Okay. Well,
So-
that's
so
the
I don't-
answer to your question.
Okay, so you talked about impact fees. to the extent that the developer is not going to use impact fee credits to construct the parks, then, and if those impact fees are being collected by the city to build future park improvements, is that what you're saying?
I'm telling you that the impact fees collected for this project will not cover the total cost of the parks for that project. So the city of Sacramento will supplement those dollars.
Oh.
Which is what the Rio Linda Parks District would have to do in order to provide what you have said they are willing to do, which is the exact proposal that the city of Sacramento has agreed to.
Okay, I didn't see that. I didn't see that supplement in the cost for services.
I understand.
And it also says the plan for services says that the Niños Parkway will be maintained through a homeowners association and backed by the Melrose District. So I'm just reading from Ascent Environmental.
Yeah, the Niños Parkway is the land that runs underneath the SMUD lines. So you can't build under it. So it will be included in their HOA, and we'll have some HOA components. It will also have City of Sacramento components. That's why you see Melrose in there as well. So that will be a joint agreement to maintain those properties, which is significant because the Niños Parkway runs all the way from Elkhorn to Garden Highway, and the City of Sacramento maintains the rest of that south of this as well. So we would be building off of funding that we already set aside for the Niños Parkway in Northgate and South Natomas.
Well, the district is willing to partner with the city.
Sure. I got
Thank
that.
you.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions?
No more questions. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And I'll ask Mr. Heller, who is the general manager of the district. He'll speak next.
Thank you, Ann.
Good evening. Madam Chair, members of the LAFCO Commission, thank you very much for this opportunity. My name is Mike Heller. I'm the District Administrator for the Rio Linda, Alberta Recreation and Park District. I will start by answering Commissioner Ashby's question. Our operating budget is currently approximately $1.2 million per year. We're 30 square miles. We have about 19,000 residents. We also have one-time fees in lieu, in Quimby fees, so that will bring our budget dollars up, but operating, we're approximately $1.2 million a year.
Thank you.
As you're aware, we're currently the service provider for the entire Panhandle. The Panhandle is a very important piece of our recreation and park district. While the Handle portion is currently undeveloped, that certainly has not been our vision. We've outlined planned parks and facilities in the Handle for a number of years, and this has been memorialized in our last Park and Recreation Master Plan update of 2006. Yes, that was a while ago. We are currently in the process of doing a Master Plan update. We also, and it should have been included in your package, for the original meeting that this was scheduled for, School Trustee Bastian produced a letter supporting a partnership for the original East and Thomas Education Center that has been partially built and is right now in the Handle portion. We've also been informed that the Twin Rivers Unified School District took a neutral position on the detachment last night at their board meeting. The Pan portion has been fully developed. It's home to numerous businesses. We're all well aware of that. This area provides our recreation and park district, as in your report, with approximately 35 to 40% of our general fund through property tax. Obviously an area that we'd like to protect and keep within our park district. Our residents and the board of our recreation and park district all agree. The development of the Handle is good for all concerned, the housing is badly needed, and the inclusion of new schools and parks will play an important role to the community at large. We also agree that annexing the Handle to the City of Sacramento makes sense at this time. However, we feel that the detachment is unnecessary and unneeded. Detaching the Handle will create an island, which, as you've heard from your executive director, is discouraged. The island jeopardizes the Pan for the Recreation and Park District. Although the City of Sacramento has stated on many occasions that they're not interested in annexing or detaching the Pan, it's still in their sphere of influence, and in time it would only make sense to the city to want to produce that valuable piece of land as well. If annexed, this Handle will become a geographical extension of the North Natomas community and of the City of Sacramento. North Natomas,
as been discussed numerous times this evening, is thriving. It's a great community. There's a great mix of residential and commercial. There are both large lots, medium lots, townhomes, condominiums, rentals. On the residential side, there's plenty of shopping, there's plenty of entertainment. It's in a great location in relation to major transportation and to the downtown region of the city. One challenge with the North Natomas community is community recreation. The North Natomas communities have private clubhouses. They have, which are most part furnished and paid for through HOAs. They provide community pools and spaces to rent for private functions. I'm a resident of North Natomas. They don't provide recreational enrichment classes. There was a great presentation by the city's recreation department on what is offered there. I've been in that community for a couple of years. I'm still looking for the really attractive and large guide that's delivered twice per year. As a resident of North Natomas, I've never had it delivered. I currently don't receive it. However, I have picked up a copy, and there's really nothing in there for me unless I would like to travel to other communities of Sacramento, or I or any member of my family would like to participate in a recreation or class locally. We have to go private. And we have to pay the increased fee to take the class because we have to go private because it's not offered as a municipality service. This is not the norm of most municipalities. This is definitely not the norm of recreation and park special districts. As far as our residents are concerned, the board of directors and staff of a recreation and park district exist to provide recreational and park programs and services to the people who reside in them. This is our number one function. This is our main function. It's the only function that a majority of our staff concentrate on. Having said that, we also know the cost of programs through a Parks and Recreation Department or a Recreation and Park District is significantly less expensive than that of a private business offering similar services. It has been suggested that the Rio Linda, Alberta Recreation and Park District is not suited to, nor has the ability to develop and maintain parks in an urban environment. As a district administrator of this Recreation and Park District, this comment concerns me. Our board of directors and staff take great pride in our existing parks. We have a number of employees that have worked with our Recreation and Park District for 15 plus years, and they've been on board to develop, maintain, and nurture all of our parks. When we lost the play structure to fire, they took it personally and worked with the community association to have the replacement erected. They even took a step further and helped with the planning and implementation of that community's park day to commemorate the new equipment and the beauty of that park. More recently, the Rio Linda, Alberta Recreation and Park District has agreed to a partnership with Twin Rivers Unified School District to take over the maintenance and operations of green space adjacent to two of the Twin Rivers schools. Okay? These are why these MOUs and MOAs are put out there. We do the same things that the city of Sacramento says that they're doing. This is land that the school district gave to us for usage, with a usage agreement that we're going to maintain it, which we are. This works for our recreation and park districts for multiple reasons. We know that the land will be used for appropriate purposes and will be well maintained. We know that we can program these areas safely for our residents. The parcel adjacent to the West Side School in Rio Linda is being planned out right now. It's a rectangular parcel. It's perfect for the inclusion of rectangular sports such as soccer, flag football, lacrosse, rugby, etc. We're working on properly grading the land and installing gopher fences to make sure that the property is safe and fully functional for all of our programming community needs, something that has not been done up till now. We are taking the initiative on that. Another plot of land that we've just picked up with partnership with the Twin Rivers Unified School District is at the former Rio Linda Elementary School. This area is ideal for our T-ball program. It's also located next to a branch of the county library and provides a perfect outdoor recreation area for families and individuals to relax and partake in our outdoor library services. Currently, the community's National Night Out activities take place at this location. We're using our parks. We're using what the school district needs us to use as well. Both of these new acquisitions to the Recreation and Park District are currently green, well maintained, and an asset to both our community as well as to the students of the schools that use to service these parcels. The Rio Linda, Alberta Recreation and Park District is scheduled to grow. A new project called Grand Park is in the developmental phase. This area is approximately 5,700 acres. It stretches from Elkhorn Boulevard on the south, Highway 99 and 70 on the west, the Sutter County line on the north, and Levy Road on the east. Our Recreation and Park District is slated to receive 345 acres of dedicated developed parkland within this project. This includes one community park of over 50 acres, 26 neighborhood parks that are greater than 5 acres, 34 smaller parks that are less than 5 acres. These parks will be reflected in our upcoming Recreation Park Master Plan update. As well, these parks are already on the discussion board for community developer and staff input to properly plan and blueprint the proper maintenance as each park comes online. The development for the Panhandle shows parks being developed and put into place for the residents. Parks are phenomenal. The health and fitness aspects of parks are numerous. Parks are synonymous with recreation. Every plan and all discussions that I've participated in to date have talked about parks, but not recreation. Once again, that's our name, the Rio Linda, Alberta Recreation and Park District. Are you aware that from the Handle, the nearest community center that is built and developed right now is currently 2.5 miles away? This isn't a radius, this is driving the streets. The next closest is just under 6 miles away, and the closest one after that is just over 6 miles away. There's no talk of a community center being constructed in the developed portion of the Handle. The closest facility that is being talked about is slated for the North Natomas Regional Park, and that's still driving time 3.5 miles away if we're coming off of Elkhorn. We saw a slide that showed 1.9 miles. That's coming off of Del Paso. This whole development is stretching all the way up, is it not? There's also been talk of staff programming to take place in the developed portion of the Handle. So, if I were a resident, I'd probably pick the option that's 2.5 miles away right now, especially if the programs offered were comparable to what the city is offering. The city posted their programs up on a slide. I do have a handout with the programs that we offer. If you compare the two, you're going to find a lot of similarities. By the way, that community center that's 2.5 miles away, the Rio Linda, Alberta Recreation Park District Community Center in Oak Lane in Rio Linda. In the next 5 to 20 years, our Recreation and Park District is slated to expand. This will include close to 70 new parks between Grand Park and the Alberta Specific Plan that our residents, our board of directors, and staff will be developing, programming, and maintaining. This will include the upkeep of equipment and the general aesthetics of the parks. This will ensure continued usage and participation in our parks. As in the past, the Rio Linda, Alberta Recreation and Park District parks will be maintained and kept up by the staff of the district. While we love volunteer assistance, park maintenance is not ideal for this important service. It was said earlier that the North Natomas parks did not suffer during the downturn. What about the rest of the city of Sacramento? We have never reduced our maintenance in any of our parks, nor do we intend to. Our parks and programs are important for our community, and our maintenance team plans around the community needs to keep our parks looking professional and aesthetically pleasing at the same time. As well, our Recreation and Park District maintains a high level of density limits. That means when developed, we aim for 5 acres of parkland per every 1,000 residents, just as North Natomas does. We know that on the city's website there are different numbers up there for the rest of the city. So why is recreation so important? It has health and well-being components. It is therapeutic. It encourages networking and creates lifelong friendships. And perhaps most importantly, it's fun. That is one proponent of the Rio Linda Recreation and Park District. We provide these services not only for youth, but for adults, seniors, families alike. We didn't just create these programs, they are offered seasonally throughout the year, and on top of these programs, we actively support local youth leagues and associations. Our Recreation and Park District reaches out to local schools, Alberta Unified, Roble Unified, and Twin Rivers Unified, to advertise and talk about recreation. We maintain a good relationship with the 3 school districts and currently received a number of their students into our programs. The City of Sacramento Youth, Parks, and Community Enrichment Department has stated, and I quote, and this is in your report, "It is not logical to set up a situation where future Panhandle residents are not able to partake in City of Sacramento park and recreation programs. Ultimately, this would mean Panhandle residents would have different park and recreation experiences than their neighbors across the street. That just seems to be a disservice to the future residents of the Panhandle." My question is, how is this a disservice? And that question was asked a little bit earlier in a different form. There are no boundaries for park and recreation users. Yes, there are boundaries when MOUs are set up. There are boundaries when you have to attend a certain school to participate in a certain program. However, for general recreation usage, there are no boundaries. If there is a program offered in one city or district but not in another, then people routinely travel to attend programs that interest them. The park and recreation experience will not be different regardless of where you live. It has also been stated that the city, and I quote, "The city of Sacramento should be the park and recreation service provider because," and this is the city of Sacramento's words, "we have more extensive and robust park and recreation programs for those future residents." The Rio Linda Recreation Park District is curious as to when and where this comparison of services was done. The City of Sacramento has listed their recreational services in your staff report and up there. The district services, which we will be handing out, are comparable and just as extensive. In the same position statement, the Youth Parks and Community Enrichment Department mentions that the South Natomas Community Center is within a 3.8-mile radius and the Hagenwood Community Center is within a 3.5-mile radius. Let's concentrate on the word radius there. That's not street driving, that's as the crow flies. I can tell you that the Rio Linda Alberta Community Center is less than 2.5 miles away on actual roads. The two community centers referenced by the city are closer to 5.5 and 6 miles away on county and city streets. As well, the new community center and aquatics complex that is slated for construction in November 2019 at the North Natomas Regional Park will be offering services that are currently offered in the Rio Linda Alberta Recreation and Park District. In closing, and I'm sorry that I've taken so long, I do appreciate the time. The Rio Linda Alberta Recreation and Park District provides recreation and park services. We have independently since 1994, and we hope to continue for many, many years to come. It makes sense to annex, but when it comes to the provision of services, our park district is closer than any facility that the city currently has to offer. We are more inexpensive than moving to the private sector, which the HOA model forces a resident to do, and we have a proven track record of having the ability to develop, build, and maintain our parks effectively. Yes, the City of Sacramento is full service, but they also have special districts operating within their city limits. So to answer the question on confusion regarding the Swanson Estates, I don't believe their residents are confused on where they can go to get services for recreation parks. They are going to the Fulton El Camino Recreation and Park District, who they are using the Bellevue Park and Howe Park and Babcock Park, which is currently controlled by Twin Rivers Unified. Those are all residents of Fulton El Camino. Okay, those are supposedly city residents. Okay, well, not supposedly, they are. The Fulton El Camino Recreation and Park District does offer services to the residents of Swanson Estates. This includes, but is not limited to, park police patrols, residents serving on various district committees, and the Swanson Estates Neighborhood Association schedules their meeting at the Fulton El Camino facilities. So there is a crossover. It only makes sense for the residents of the Rio Linda Alberta Recreation and Park District to keep all their boundary intact and provide the services to what is sure to be a fully engaged and incredible community in the Handle. From the human side, we all know what it takes, and we're prepared to welcome our new neighbors with open arms, excellent parks, and amazing programs. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Commissioner Peters.
Thank you. Maybe I misunderstood, but are you saying that Howe Park and Swanson Park are in the city of Sacramento?
No, they're in the Fulton El Camino Recreation and Park District.
Well, I understand they're in the Fulton El Camino Park District, but that's different than the city of Sacramento or the unincorporated county.
The Swanson Estates are in the city of Sacramento.
Where is that?
In the Fulton El Camino.
The boundary.
I'm sorry, we're going to...
Right beside Babcock Park.
I couldn't hear you.
Right beside Babcock Park, which is Fulton El Caminos.
Yeah, Mr. Lockhart, could you explain that to me?
The area being referred to is roughly north and behind, if you will, behind Arden Fair Mall. For point of reference.
Then I'm confused. There is a Swanson Park on Northrop Avenue, which is not part of Fulton El Camino or the city, and Howe Park is all part of the unincorporated county of Sacramento, not the city of Sacramento. I just wanted to be clear in case anyone else was confused by that. Thank you.
My apologies for the confusion.
I have no other questions. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, we have no questions from board members, so we are going to move forward with public comment. And I believe there may be a couple of panhandle property owners that I did not call on earlier, so I apologize for the delay. The first, and I'm taking these in the order received. The first individual is Steve DeCow, followed by Sherry Hart, and you have 2 minutes. Well, you'll have whatever you need, since I gave everyone else.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Steve DeCoux. I'm one of the property owners in the Panhandle annexation area. I've owned this parcel of land since 1983. Included in the staff report by Don Lockhart was a participating landowner statement which urges you to approve the annexation and allow detachment from the Rio Linda Alberta Recreation and Parks District. All of the landowners south of the Twin Rivers Unified School District properties have endorsed that landowner statement. With respect to Park Service, we've worked diligently with the City of Sacramento for over 4 years in an attempt to develop a park plan that we're extremely proud of. It includes the parks, the pedestrian walkways, bikeways that are included in our application package. And it's always been our expectation that would be part of the City of Sacramento's park services. In summary, I'd just like to urge you to approve the annexation and adopt the recommendations in the staff report. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other landowners here that wish to speak? Okay. And next we have Sherry Hart, followed by Barbara Grecian. Graken, sorry.
Hello, Commissioners, and thank you for hearing me. I am a small business owner in agriculture. I am H&K Farms. My partner and I have had our business license running our farm in Rio Linda. I'm also a homeowner in Rio Linda. I also pay $9,000 a year to rent agricultural land in Natomas. I also own 2 farmers markets, which are coming into the season beginning May 4th and May 5th in the Rancho Marietta area, and I'm bringing back a certified farmers market to our hometown of Rio Linda. In locating where to do business, where to bring my revenue for these farmers markets, I could have had numerous places to choose to do my business and pay my fees. I chose to do business with the Rio Linda Alberta Recreation and Park District and rent my land or rent my park space to run the certified farmers market there. I am here to ask you to not detach us. No detachment. We, the residents and users of the Rio Linda Alberta Recreation and Park District, feel that they would be best to continue in the maintenance and representation of this park in the district. And we are again asking for no detachment. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry. Next up, we have Barbara Graken.
Good evening. Vernal pools were identified in the Twin Rivers EIR for the school portion of the Panhandle. EI preparers did not survey for vernal pools on the rest of the site and appeared to conclude that there were none. This year, above average rainfall has produced conditions for the appearance of vernal pools and associated environments and associated special status plant and animal species. A drive down Sereno Road reveals abundant pool flora on portions of the site not evaluated despite previous requests. Excuse me, but I only have 2 minutes. This is new information not previously evaluated, quantified, and disclosed in the CEQA documents before you. Therefore, LAFCO's responsible agency needs to conduct additional CEQA analysis. The EIR and staff report does not identify and quantify prime agricultural land potentially impacted by this project pursuant to the CKH Act and its own policies and standards. Portions of this site are prime because land has been used for agricultural purposes within the past 5 years, produced crops valued above CKH Act requirements, has a demonstrated carrying capacity of more than 1 animal unit per acre, has a demonstrated ability to produce crops, sugar beets, winter wheat, rice at a value exceeding LAFCO and CKH Act standards at all. The city chose to use less restrictive prime ag land definitions inconsistent with your responsibilities pursuant to the CKH Act. You need to direct staff to use your standards. The very long record for this project indicates that the Pan area was eliminated after the city failed to get support of the landowners south of Del Paso Road. Such boundary manipulation is inconsistent with the CKH Act and LAFCO policies. Creation of an islands. Cal LAFCO has worked hard to strengthen the CKH Act to enable elimination of islands and to discourage creation of new ones. The proposed island exists because the property owners do not want to adhere to city service provider requirements. The city does not want to be sued, and the southern property owners would vote against annexation and kill the project. You must act to include the Pan in its handle in this annexation, as the city has proposed for more than 20 years, and for all the reasons the city used in its efforts to annex the entire site, as disclosed in the long project record, which is we incorporated by reference. We also submitted 2 letters. 5, Rio Linda has provided services since 1992. This detachment creates a non-contiguous and inefficient service provider boundary.
2 minutes is up. If you could wrap up, please.
Thank you. I just have 2 or 3 more sentences.
Okay. You're doing a great job, by the way.
Inconsistent with LAFCO policies, high-quality services are already provided. People in Natomas, we have the Robles School District. My neighborhood uses Rio Linda services. They're great. They took on the Weta Parkway when nobody else would, when the city really didn't want to. Rio Linda also provides services to rural areas of North Sacramento and Natomas, including equestrian and other services that we can't get anywhere else. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you very much. Okay, Michael Seaman, followed by Anne Marie Tomlinson. And after that is Mike Grace.
Sorry. Thank you. I had a PowerPoint that I submitted earlier.
You had a what?
What's the name of it?
PowerPoint.
What does he have?
Metro, if we can get the overhead camera for the podium, please. You didn't give me a PowerPoint. That's not.
Never mind. We'll go without it.
Was it delivered?
It was sent in, supposed to have been queued up, but if it wasn't, that's okay.
Metro Cable
This
needs
right
to
here?
put it on.
That's the one, yes.
Okay, we have it at our
Well,
at our
great.
desk.
If you all have it, then that's fine.
Here it comes.
I'm Michael Seaman. I'm speaking tonight on behalf of California Unincorporated, which is a statewide coalition speaking on behalf of 6 million Californians who are effectively denied a municipal level of government merely because they're in unincorporated areas. And our coalition currently consists of 11 participating communities in 8 different counties. With respect to Rio Linda, Alberta, and the Panhandle annexation area, the annexation aspect is fine, makes sense, but detachment from the municipal service provider districts is not okay. The community deserves good governance that's closest to the people, and big government does not necessarily mean the best government. There is absolutely no evidence that's been presented to support the request for detachments. And the detachment would deprive the Rio Linda, Alberta Recreation and Park District of significant future revenue that they need for even the current level of services. So if you follow the old rule, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, LAFCO's own MSR, Municipal Services Review, determined that Rio Linda, Alberta Rec and Park District services have value now and into the future, whereas the City of Sacramento has a history of recreation and park services that are at the wrong end of the food chain. And it's also, the City of Sacramento is not a full-service city. SMUD, RT are special districts that provide services, as does the Fulton El Camino Recreation and Park District. So retaining a small slice of property tax revenue ensures service delivery for the community. And the key thing is that I haven't seen anything in the staff report or heard any of the presentations that have demonstrated that the North Natomas Master Plan cannot be implemented in partnership with others. So our suggested action is that you please be fair to Rio Linda, Alberta, reject the detachment, but authorize the annexation while retaining small, effective government service providers. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anne Marie Tomlinson, followed by Mike Grace, followed by Charles Gordon.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Anna Marie Tomlinson, and I live in Rio Linda, and I have since 1990. I do not support this detachment because I love our Park and Rec district. I have a 5-year-old grandson who I have taken swimming to the swimming lessons for the last 4 years. While they're in sitting watching our children being taught, I have met lots of families from Natomas that come and utilize our wonderful swim program. And they have such good teachers. Christopher's 5 years old, and this year he has joined the swim team with the good teaching and his swimming ability. It's a very good program. I'm also the sales and marketing manager of our Rio Linda, Alberta Quilt Trail project, which is an art project in Rio Linda, Alberta. And Rio Linda, Alberta Rec and Park Districts were the first organization to support us and allow us to put our first barn quilt up, which is on, it's called the Underground Railroad, and it's on the depot building. And then the second one is at the community center. And then thirdly, I'm part of a new formed organization, Bridges, that's just barely a year old. And again, the Rio Linda, Alberta Rec and Park Districts are our first supporters, and we've painted one of our garbage cans on M Street, one of their garbage cans. We have a second one going at Depot Park, and we did a kids craft at our country fair and had the children draw pictures, and we're gonna be painting their pictures on the garbage cans in the community park. So our park district is wonderful, and please do not detach us. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne Marie. Next, Mike Grace.
Good evening, Madam Chair and Commissioners. My name is Mike Grace. I'm the General Manager for Fulton El Camino Recreation and Park District. I'm here to correct a misstatement I think that was made in the LAFCO staff report saying that Fulton El Camino Rec and Park District does not provide services to the Swanston Estates area. Our involvement in the Swanston Estates community goes back to our inception. We jointly developed a park, Babcock Park, with the city of Sacramento, 50-50. We developed that park. The city chose to run it, and unfortunately in 2008 divested themselves of that park to Twin Rivers Unified School District. Something that the members, the community in Swanston Estates has been very unhappy with, since the park itself has been pretty much closed to operation to the community. We are working closely with them to try to open that park for greater accessibility. We work very closely with the community, with the Swanston Estates community, in the provision of recreation services. We work with their neighborhood association. We provide them meeting space. We involve members of their community in our park advisory committees for both Bellevue Park and Howe Park, both of which service that community, especially now since access to Babcock Park is so limited. They utilize our swimming pool, they utilize our recreation services. For those of you that...
You're at 2 minutes, can you please wrap up?
I think that's sufficient. We provide services to Swanston Estates.
Okay, and Charles Gordon, please.
Thank you for hearing me. My name is Charles Gordon, commonly called Chuck.
Hi, Chuck.
I presently serve on 3 different boards in the Rio Linda North Highlands area. North Highlands Optimist Club, the Rio Linda Alberta Grange 403, and I have been a on and off member of the Chamber of Commerce for over 20 years. I am the founder of Kids ID, of which we have issued over 18,000 forms to parents and guardians. I was given the question to ask about LAFCO's rule about serving or about creating islands. I think that has been more than adequately covered. So I think I'll just kind of bow out now on that question. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chuck. Samiti Mehta? Apologize.
She had to step out for just a moment. She'll be right back.
Okay. Lindsay,
Madam Chair,
followed by Andre Favilla. Yes.
at some point, it may be helpful for the city to be able to respond to the question of Swanston Estates and the park facilities that are there.
Okay. Would you like to do that at this time, or would you like to?
We can do it at the end of this.
Okay, we'll do that right after this speaker.
Thank you.
Okay. If you could.
Members of the commission, my name is Lynn Lindsay, and by the way of introduction, I'm a resident of the city of Sacramento in North Natomas and appointee to the city's Planning and Design Commission. I appreciate the opportunity to speak tonight on the Panhandle, and I'll be brief. The Panhandle is not my first annexation process. Was involved over the years during the Greenbrier development, approved by LAFCO for annexation into the city's service area boundary for homes, commercial, and parks. An element of the city's general plan includes the master plan for park facilities and recreational services. Planning decisions for the annexation and development of the Panhandle should include the integration of seamless services provided through the city. We should not engage in fragmented planning. The Panhandle annexation and proposed development has been the most scrutinized and analyzed project I have ever witnessed in North Natomas. It is of utmost importance not only to North Natomas and the city of Sacramento, but to the region for housing and future transportation development. I respectfully urge your approval of the Panhandle annexation and the findings for reorganization contained in the resolution before you. Thank you.
Thank you. And now the city, would you like to respond?
Sure, I just want to provide some clarity. What's referred to as Babcock Park is a property owned by the Twin Rivers School District in a part of Sacramento. It's not owned by the city. At some point, it was open to the public. It no longer is, from my understanding, open to the public because of security issues with the city, with the school district providing that space open to the public. And so it's not a city-owned property. It's a Twin Rivers School District-owned property. At one time, evidently, it was open to the public, but it's no longer. And, you know, it seems like it's being referred to as a park site, but it's not a City of Sacramento provided park, and it's also, my understanding, it's not even open to the public. So it's not offered for the residents of Swanston Estate at this time.
At this time, but at one time it was.
It may have been. I don't know about the history of that site. But
I think they were making the point there was precedent for.
But it's also not owned by them. It's owned by the Twin Rivers School District.
Okay. Okay. Sumiti Mehta. Did I say it right? Mehta.
Pretty close.
Sumiti
Got it on the
Mehta.
second try. Good evening. I'm Sumiti Mehta, and I'm the Parks Commissioner for the City of Sacramento District 1. I support both annexation and tax share agreement proposal. I have been a resident of Natomas for 11 years, and I've been thoroughly impressed with the parks maintenance of the City of Sacramento. North Natomas has never reduced its maintenance level of service because it has dedicated maintenance funding, like Ms. Ashby told CFT3, above and beyond the city general fund. The people of North Natomas pay additional taxes, for all the enhanced services in the park, My family has benefited enjoying all the concerts in the park, the farmers market, the fairs that we have for the kids, the Halloween thing, and movie nights, and thanks to all the city and the District 1. I hope you will approve the annexation and tax share agreement proposal so we can enjoy all these again.
Thank you, Sumiti. Andre Favila, followed by Deanna Reed.
Commission Chair and the Commission, thank you for having me today. My name is Andre Favila. I am the District 1 Parks and Youth Liaison for the City of Sacramento. As a contractor, I run the Youth Action Corps program known as YAC. I support both the annexation and the tax share agreement proposal. Our YAC program hosts approximately 20 to 30 park-related projects monthly for our 770 students right now. Our YAC volunteers take great pride in the work they do. In March, we had 269 total volunteer hours towards our parks. This new development in North Natomas is integrated with the overall community planning efforts, and as such, this development will benefit from and contribute towards the North Natomas Regional Park and new aquatic facility and community center that our students are looking forward to. We look forward to servicing this Panhandle area with our student park ambassadors. Please vote yes on the project before you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Andre. Deanna Reed. Commissioner Greenwood.
Madam Chair, if I may ask the speakers, I'm a little bit older than a lot of you, and my hearing isn't always the sharpest. So if you're soft-spoken and you're speaking really fast, someone loses some of your stuff. So I'm just asking if you would, I know you're nervous, and you're in front of a microphone, but speak slowly, and if you could clearly, and into the microphone. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Hello, my name is Deanna Reed, and I am a contracted employee for Parks in the City of Sacramento. I work in District 1 Parks, and I live in Rio Linda. I love living in Rio Linda, and I know that Rio Linda has a lot to offer. I am the Certified Farmers Market Manager for the Natomas Farmers Market, and Rio Linda has offered me most of the certified farmers who sell produce in my market. This has been a great benefit to the people of Natomas who attend my market and is located in District 1, and a benefit to Rio Linda because the farmers have a first-class market to use. That being said, I see every day how well the City of Sacramento takes care of their parks. The level of service that I have seen at the parks in Natomas is amazing, and I think that the City of Sacramento just has a lot more resources to maintain these types of amenities. I also think that Rio Linda benefits greatly from the level of service that the city provides its parks because my Rio Linda neighbors often come to my farmers market, movies in the park, First Friday events, use the Little League fields, and play in the District 1 playground. District 1 also offers free yoga in the park. Because the City of Sacramento is able to contract a position such as my own, they can provide all these events and maintain our parks as an attraction for families to come and enjoy outdoors for so much more than just a play structure, grass, and blacktop games. When I think of Rio Linda and Natomas, I think that they are neighbors who each have something to contribute to one another. Instead of being at war with each other, they should be able to recognize each other for the strengths that they each carry. For Rio Linda, that strength is agriculture. For Natomas, it's community engagement through how they maintain their parks and recreation. Thanks.
Thank you. Chad Augustin, followed by Nick Advis.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Chad Augustine. I'm here tonight representing Sacramento Fire Department in support of staff's recommendation to approve the annexation. As both an employee and a resident of the City of Sacramento, I can confidently state that the city has the full scope of city services and is able to provide that. A little history on Sacramento Fire Department. We are the oldest paid fire department west of the Mississippi, formed around 1850. We've been providing contract services for the area of North Natomas for many years. We have 24 fire stations that are staffed daily, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And it's a privilege for us to continue to provide those services. Again, thank you.
Thank you, Chad. Nick Advis.
Madam Chair, members of the Commission, Nick Avdis, resident of Valley View Acres, third generation property owner and current resident, serve as the president of the Valley View Acres Community Association. I've done so for the past decade and a half here in my personal capacity. First, I want to say that the Rio Linda Recreation and Parks District I've known for a long time. In fact, I'm a product of the Rio Linda school system, and I'm very proud of the sense of identity and the local institution and a source of strength when it comes to local identity that the Park District represents. I would say, though, the Panhandle and Natomas are not part of that culture. Like I said, I look adjacent to the Panhandle from the west, from the east to the west. I see the neighborhoods of Natomas Park and Regency Park. I utilize those facilities all the time. I frequent the dog park. I'm a small-time cattle rancher, and we go to the farmers market. We feel that we're a piece of the fabric of the city of Sacramento. Certainly, I'm a Valley View Acres resident, but I'm a resident of the city of Sacramento first and foremost. I would say that having these clear and distinct boundaries builds, frankly, and maintains this cultural cohesion amongst communities. And it really builds confidence in our local government structures. I think we've all heard the complaints of not really knowing who your representative is for what task. I mean, I know if I've got a problem, I'm calling Miss Ashby's office. I don't have to call multiple layers. When I have a problem with my trash, when I have a problem with the police department, when I have not a problem, when I want to pay them compliments. Lots and lots of compliments. They do a great job, as well as the fire department. So, frankly, this project, and I will say, the project, what it does, it really consolidates government structures. I think if you don't approve the detachment, you're really approving more government for the future residents of the Panhandle. And I don't think that's right, because we all know the inefficiencies of overlapping jurisdictions and geographic areas. So, this project is...
Your 2 minutes is up, if you could wrap up.
Yes, certainly. Thank you very much. This project has been in the pipeline for close to 2 decades. I mean, it's been looked at every which way to Sunday. It's time to approve this project and move forward. Thanks.
Thank you, Nick. Sorry, I'm trying to be fair to everyone and treat everyone the same. So, Jeff Beckman, followed by Charlie Moore, followed by Jeff Short.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Jeff Beckman. I'm a resident of Natomas and also the president of the Natomas Chamber of Commerce. I support both the annexation and the tax share proposal. The 589 acres that the city is proposing to annex does not have any existing recreation and park facilities. With the exception of one residence, the annexation area is also uninhabited territory that will allow for more housing in Natomas. The city of Sacramento has been a full-service city for over 100 years, and based on this, the city needs to provide park services and facilities to the area proposed for annexation for consistency for the families and businesses that are moving into the area. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Charlie Moore, followed by Jeff Short, followed by Bridget Barnes.
So just in case nobody knows where I stand, I brought my sign. My name is Charlie Moore. I'm a resident of Alberta. I'm also a director on the Rio Linda, Alberta Recreation and Park District. I'm speaking as a resident, not as a director. The thing that I want to, first I was sort of surprised by was the comments that were made about the new residents being confused because the Rio Linda Park District would be providing their recreation services. We have some very confused people that every day of the week come to Rio Linda, Alberta from various areas, including Natomas, Sacramento, from Placer County, from other areas, Roseville. These people come to Rio Linda, Alberta Recreation and Park District for specific programs or recreation services that we provide. I would also like to say, when it comes to programs and services, parks and recreation, especially recreation, has, as somebody said, no boundaries. You don't say, oh, that's a Rio Linda Recreation and Park District service. I can't go there because I live in Sacramento. People go where the services are, especially when it comes to team play, league play, soccer, little league, bobby sox, all of those types of programs. And so I would say that Rio Linda is second to none. In my last 27 seconds, I want to say that this could be and should have been, from the beginning, a win-win situation. It is very easy to see this as a win-win situation. We could have been going forward with the development long ago. All we had to do was agree that the Rio Linda Park and Recreation would go ahead and remain this service provider in the handle, and we could have been off to the races. There is no reason that this has been delayed as long as it has, except for the fact that for some reason there's
2 minutes is up. Can you wrap up?
Yes,
please?
ma'am. There's very, very strong resistance for allowing the Rio Linda Recreation and Park District to do what we do best. Do not detach. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie. Jeff Short, followed by Bridget Barnes, followed by Pat Day.
Good evening, Chair Frost and Commissioners. My name is Jeff Short with the North State BIA. We support the City of Sacramento Parks and Recreation District as the entity to provide park services in the Handle area. This is in keeping with how North Natomas has been planned for over 30 years and what future residents will expect. As you know, we're in a major housing crisis, and creating new housing is a priority in our region. This annexation is a big step toward addressing that crisis. However, my membership remains concerned about the potential for significant delays that switching park services providers away from the city could cause. We also believe that as an urban parks department, the city is better positioned to handle the development and maintenance of these infill parks. For these reasons, we ask that you please support the annexation application that includes the City of Sacramento City of Sacramento Department of Parks and Recreation as the park services provider. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Bridget Barnes, please.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the Commission. Am I loud enough?
Now you are.
Okay. I am here representing all of the industrial and commercial owners for the PAN. I have previously submitted several memoranda. Many of you, I believe, have seen them, so I won't belabor the written statements. The PAN has made it clear since 2002, when development in this area first began, that if they were left out of any annexation efforts into the city, they would not oppose those annexation attempts, and my memoranda have just been in to assure that the members of the commission understood that the size of the PAN and the industrial and financial capacity of the PAN was such that the island annexation prohibitions, which are also addressed by your executive officer, did not apply to us. The only other issue, and I offered it in my most recent statement, was to let you know that having been at, I don't even know how many hearings and meetings and community arrangements, I've never heard any opposition to the management by Rio Linda. I submitted that to let you know that there was no basis that I had seen, in fact, that there was going to be a diminution in services if Rio Linda continued to provide the services. As stated by your XO, we will be continuing as part of Rio Linda. We derive no services from Rio Linda and are happy to have our tax money go to Rio Linda to continue to support them. Thank you.
Thank you, Bridget. Pat Day. And our last individual is Eleanor Anklin.
I'm Pat Day, manager of the Elder Craftsman in Rio Linda. We were with the City of Sacramento for 20 years. 4 years from when we were closed down there for 4 years, the Park District had us under their care. We were with Neighborhood Services for 18 years before that. They shut us down. The city's Senior Heart Center turned us down. I took 13 women in a sewing machine to Rio Linda, and spoke at the park board. For almost 11 years, they have supported us. We've grown to a very substantial outreach group that is a support group within the community, and we could not have done it without them. We had their full support, and this is in favor of the Park District. Believe me, if we keep the Panhandle and we support their parks, they are very capable of handling it. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. And Eleanor Anklin. If there are any others who wish to speak, this is a good time to come down and sign the pink form and hand it to our our clerk, Diane Thorpe.
Okay, my name is Eleanor Anklin. I'm very nervous, but I'll try to speak slowly and I'll try to be articulate. Anyway, I'm a property owner in Sacramento City. and I pay taxes there. I was very happy to hear they have such wonderful parks and recreations. I also live in Rio Linda and have for the last 20 years. I've taught school, started teaching school there in 1964, so I've got a lot of history there. I've participated in the last 20 years from my great-granddaughter, well, not for 20 years, myself in activities at the Parks and Recreation District. They have wonderful activities. They have way more than I possibly have time or energy to participate in, but they certainly have something for everyone. I'll go quickly. I taught in the Rio Linda School District, and it was a very small district in the many years that I taught there, 35 of them. It was wonderful. It is no longer that small district. Smaller is, well, someplace was saying earlier, just because it's smaller does not mean it's bad. Bigger is not always better, oftentimes is not. And I've known the people in the Parks and Recreations and seen the activities that happen in Rio Linda that I participate in and that other people participate in, and how well it works together in the community with the Parks and Recreation Districts, with the people there. You know, if you have a project and you need help or support, you get that in a small community, in a smaller district. I've seen, bigger is, I don't think, always better. You lose that personal part. I see no reason why, if something's working, why the Parks and Recreations Department shouldn't continue to manage, and they've given no reason why they should not. As far as the other part, taking it away, that's different. But this is, as far as the detachment, I think that the Rio Linda Parks and Recreations Department is able to do the job, and if you saw their little programs, they have lots. Thank you.
Thank you. And Stacy Bastian.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Stacy Bastian, and I felt the need to speak as I believe there has been some misinformation at the start of this hearing in regards to the Twin Rivers Unified School District and their position. I would like to clarify. Per Twin Rivers Unified School District Board President Linda Fowler, she just stated, and I just clarified with her on the phone, this has never been brought up before the board, and the Board of Trustees have not taken any action on it. A letter will be written by Steve Martinez, Superintendent of the district, that will be sent to LAFCO and Rio Linda Alberta Recreation Park District stating this fact. Twin Rivers Unified School District is taking a neutral position. However, Board of Trustees can speak individually on their own position. Hence, I would like to speak on behalf of my father, Board of Trustee Bob Bastian, that he is against the annexation and the detachment. He apologized he cannot make it tonight, but again, he is against the annexation and the detachment. I want to remind everyone, one representative cannot represent the Twin Rivers Unified School District Board of Trustees as a whole. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Stacy. Okay, I have no more speaker cards. Are there any other individuals who would like to speak? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Okay, at this time, we are proceeding into board deliberations, and I will ask the board if they have any questions or comments.
Okay.
Commissioner Ashby.
Well, thank you. I will make my comments, and then if my colleagues have questions for me or city staff or anyone else, I'm happy to address them. Let me just start by saying that I'm really impressed with the Rio Linda group that's here today and that I have met over the last couple of years. I'm not here to say anything bad about Rio Linda or about their parks department. And I don't think that you would hear people come and say bad things about Rio Linda. Certainly not anyone that I would invite to the conversation. For me, this isn't about that. I think North Natomas enjoys a fantastic relationship with Rio Linda. I think Deanna Reed did a great job of explaining how we have lots of things that we do together, and so did Barbara Graken. The two can coexist and be great neighbors. I am, however, a council member for the city of Sacramento, and I am elected by people in the city of Sacramento. And I am the mayor pro tem of the city of Sacramento. And on this LAFCO board, I am the representative for the city of Sacramento. I love the city of Sacramento Police Department. I love the fire department, the utilities department, and I think our parks department is second to none, just like you think yours is second to none. And if I didn't, I would work with them to improve, right? As long as I am the council member for District 1, I want the people in District 1 to have the benefit of the Parks Department that I oversee. I am Shannon's boss's boss. If Shannon doesn't do a good job of maintenance in my parks, I don't have to call her and set a meeting. I walk one story down in City Hall, and I find her and the people that are in charge of maintenance, and I talk to them about how we're gonna fix the problem. I have daily, weekly meetings with some of that staff. I know our parks workers by name. And it's very important to me to be able to provide that same type of continuity of service to every person that lives in my district. I've worked hard. I'm the senior member of the Sacramento City Council. That does not mean I'm the oldest, let's be clear. It means I've been there the longest. And I have seen what the Parks Department is capable of. I also think Rio Linda does a great job. I don't think one diminishes the other. We don't have to decide which one is the best. We do have to decide which one is going to provide services. And I'm going to ask my colleagues tonight, as we annex this property, which doesn't seem to be an issue here, nobody has said anything about annexation, to please accept staff's full recommendation, which does include a detachment, so that the City of Sacramento Parks Department can provide the services in my district. I'm gonna go over just a couple of things here that I think are important points tonight. The first and probably most important is that this idea of an island, or the concept of leaving the pan out of the handle and out of the annexation package from the city of Sacramento, is intentional. The city of Sacramento is intentionally leaving the pan with the Rio Linda Parks District. You heard today that their operating budget is about $1.2 million, which is great for a small parks district. I think that's fantastic. And you're making that money go a long way. But 40% of that revenue, $334,000 of their annual operating revenue, comes from that pan, where they don't provide any services and nobody's asking them to. So the city of Sacramento has done everything we can to protect that revenue source for them, so that we don't go after it. We didn't fight for it. We didn't say we're gonna go take that. We're not trying to bully anybody. We left that intact. The amount of money that they receive annually right now from the handle component is about $2,500, which we have agreed to pay them for 5 years after we take over incorporation or annexation. They don't provide any services there either, which is also okay. There's nobody there to enjoy them anyway right now. So we wouldn't need them yet. I think you can see that they will be kept whole. This is simply a question. Nothing will be taken away from the Rio Linda Parks District tonight. The decision tonight will be, does Rio Linda or does Sacramento provide park service in the city of Sacramento? And I don't think that's a difficult question for my colleagues to answer. The landowners for this proposal have worked with the city of Sacramento for 4 years on that parks plan. The project is in the North Natomas Community Plan, and it has been for 30 years. Rio Linda currently provides no services in either one of the areas we're talking about, even the one that we're going to leave whole so that you keep your budget fully intact. The park build-out will cost in excess of $20 million. The park impact fees will not cover that $20 million. And on a $1.2 million annual operating budget, Rio Linda will not have the resources necessary to supplement that funding to create the plan that you see in front of you today, that the developers have entered into 6 development agreements with to provide for the people of Natomas and hopefully the people of Rio Linda who will come over and use those services. North Natomas is a master plan community with CFD funding, which we've talked about extensively tonight. It is important to me that I can use CFD funds inside of that handle, because I know what happens when the city of Sacramento gets in trouble and they have to reduce services. It happens in big cities. It happens all the time. But with that CFD, I'll be able to protect those constituents, or whoever follows me will. We'll be able to protect them and make sure that their parks stay as great as we can possibly provide. And that we'll have programs for youth, and we will lean heavily on that if necessary. The proposal in its entirety, as noted by as our executive officer has noted, is consistent with the Sacramento County General Plan, the City of Sacramento's General Plan, the North Natomas Community Plan, the Natomas Habitat Basin Conservation Plan. You notice there are no environmentalists in the room tonight because this item has already been dealt with on a habitat conservation level, and all local government standards and procedures have been met. Most of those actions were taken by this board. It is already in every existing plan, dating as far back as almost 30 years. It's a 57-year effort. The project has been approved by the city and the county. 57 years in the making. It is supported by the school district representative who represents this area. The Panhandle project needs to move forward. It cannot continue to sit in limbo for another decade or 2 or 5. A decision needs to be made. LAFCO recommends the plan as submitted. So my request today is merely that you support your own staff's recommendation moving forward. The creation of the island, as we have discussed, benefits the Park District. So to the extent that we would talk about an island, it would not benefit the Parks District for us to enter into that conversation. And I applaud LAFCO for carefully navigating those waters so as to hold the Parks District whole and allow the city of Sacramento to move forward. Much has been said tonight about what the city does and doesn't do. And I will be honest with you, it's very hard for me to sit in the seat and not correct every one of those comments. I'm a fierce defender of the city of Sacramento, and I want to tell you every single thing that our Parks Department does and all the reasons why it's an amazing city and an amazing Parks Department led by incredible people who are extremely dedicated. But I believe that all of you live close enough to Sacramento and drive through Natomas enough to know that those parks are amazing and that the people that run them work very hard and very diligently to make sure that they're accessible for all of us. Just to give you an idea, there are 228 parks in the city of Sacramento. 47 of them are in District 1. I should, in theory, be 1/8 of everything, right? Because I'm 1/8 of the districts, but I am not. That's 21% of the parks. And roughly 20% of the acreage in the city of Sacramento is in North Natomas. We're no strangers to programming and parks. And some of the things that we provide in District 1 alone in terms of enrichment are free yoga, the farmers market, our youth committee, over 700 kids strong, movie nights, concerts in the park, First Friday events, an Oasis summer camp, community gardens, and several seasonal events like a helicopter egg drop and Santa in Natomas on a fire truck. All of those run through our park system, and all of those are in District 1 alone. So I am going to make a motion tonight that we, as a LAFCO board, move forward with staff's recommendation, and I'm going to ask my colleagues to please support me, and I want to thank the people of Rio Linda for coming out and passionately advocating for your community. That's what we do in this region, and I want to thank the City of Sacramento and the folks from Natomas who came out also tonight and passionately advocated for the things that you believe in and have worked hard on for the last several years. I don't think this is a difficult question. No one questions annexation into the City of Sacramento. The only remaining question is who gets to provide park services in the City of Sacramento. And I cannot fathom a reason why you wouldn't allow the City of Sacramento to provide park services in their own city, especially when it is at no cost to the Rio Linda Parks District. Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor, but we have not continued deliberation.
I'd like to second the motion, but make some comments also.
Okay, and then we will continue to deliberate after that.
Okay, thank you. I thought LAFCO staff made an excellent presentation. It's one with which I agree. There's been tremendous outreach to the Park District by the city, and unfortunately they've been unable to reach agreement. So the Board of Supervisors passed this item on a majority vote and then forwarded it to LAFCO with a recommendation to approve it. In addition to that fact, I want to offer my personal experiences. I've been on the Board of Supervisors for over 14 years, and I represent almost 300,000 people in the unincorporated area. So we have vast experience at dealing with people with their requests for service and information. And we have over 20 water districts. We have dependent and independent park districts, multiple school districts, and more. And it's confusing to people. And they all call my office expecting me to tell the park districts what to do. They want me to deal with their water rates. Not like I'm special, it's just that they think that they're used to cities. They see it on television, they read it in the paper, and that's how they think it works. The most unusual, I think, is every 4 years I get calls saying, how come I can't vote for mayor of Sacramento? Kevin Johnson was very popular in Arden Arcade. We say, well, you don't live in the city of Sacramento. Well, why not? My address is Sacramento. And so, I mean, it sounds kind of goofy, but in this case, the residents here are going to have an address in the city of Sacramento, and I'm afraid they're going to experience the same things. And I think government is very confusing these days. We have a lot of special districts, and while, that helps smaller jurisdictions deal with their situations, people don't know that those people are people they elected. And so when they call me, I say, you voted for that independent district. You voted for the school board. You voted for the water district people. No offense, Ron. And it breaks my heart that it's so hard for people to keep track of all this. They live busy lives. They live in Sacramento. They want to call Sacramento, call the county in my case, for information and to express their opinions. And I think it's important for us in these days to make government more transparent, not less transparent. So I will be supporting the staff recommendation tonight.
Do we have any other comments at this time? Commissioner Aquino.
Thank you. So this is my first LAFCO meeting, and I'm not ashamed to tell you that 3.5 months ago, I had never heard of the Panhandle. So I truly am looking at this item with fresh, unbiased eyes, and it doesn't sound like there's any question as to the annexation. The item is really the parks, and so I'm really taking that and applying it to the LAFCO policy and standards. And as I see it, there are 3 conditions that must exist in order to approve detachment. And the first is that the service delivery for existing residents isn't diminished, and it's not going to be. You all love the Rio Linda Alberta Park District, and I'm thrilled to hear that, and that's not going to change. Second is that the successor provider supplies services of equal or higher quality. I have 2 school-age children. I went online and I looked at the activity guide for spring and summer for Rio Linda Alberta Park District and also for the City of Sacramento, looked to see what would appeal to my kids, what would appeal to me personally, and I'm satisfied that the services that the City of Sacramento would provide would be equal to what would be provided in Rio Linda Alberta. The final condition that has to be present is that the attachment is necessary to ensure delivery of services essential to the public health and safety. I think that's a little bit more ambiguous and open to interpretation, but I'm really zeroing in on that phrase, delivery of services. And it just doesn't make sense to me to have folks be residents of the City of Sacramento, but not be in the city's Parks and Rec boundary, and possibly not be able to partake in all of the things, the activities, the amenities that are available to other residents of the city. So I also am going to support annexation and detachment.
Okay. Any other, Commissioner Greenwood?
I've been here for a few years, and I've been through some very raucous situations in the South County, and this is amazing, this right up there with it in terms of the number of people and the feelings. I want to thank each and every one of you for taking time to be here tonight and to convey your feelings. It's very obvious you have a lot of pride, especially those who live in Rio Linda, toward your park district and everything else. I'm one of 2 special district members on the commission here. Commissioner Gay Jones and I are the 2 special district representatives. I also serve on a water district in Carmichael, so I know what it's like, as you mentioned, about confusion with water districts. Where does it begin and where does it end? There are 21 water agencies in our region. And for that purposes, we even had to form a regional water authority to try to sort through all that and form a joint powers agreement. So I understand confusion. I know how confusion can work and work against you. I also look at it, I'll obviously have to look at it as a commissioner on LAFCO. I have to look for orderly growth. I have to make sure that things are logical and they're thought out well. But there's a lot of things involved here. One of them, of course, is financial. That's why I asked the question earlier about what percentage money was going to go from that the Rio Linda was getting, and what percentage, that 35 to 40%. And I also understand that this whole trend, if there is going to be a detachment, this has to be an equitable and fair sharing. I see equitable and fair sharing in the numbers I've seen so far between the county and the city. I'm not sure how much, and I understand that $2,500 is the annual revenue that they're getting out of the handle right now. So I suppose that's how that came about. But I still want to make sure that I know that the city and county stand to gain a great deal of income in years to come from tax revenue and other things, assessments throughout that area. So again, my concern is more of a fairness issue. I also know that there's a big factor here in the overlapping of services. This feels awkward. I have to tell you, looking at the map, listening to the discussion, and looking at what's being provided and who's going to provide what, it just seems awkward. To me, in the very beginning, how this ever happened, the Panhandle, I'm sure had an economic basis to it, ever happened to have that finger coming down from Rio Linda into Sacramento County. Here we are today, all this energy, all this time, all this expense, trying to find an answer and an equitable solution. The efficiencies are another big factor. I think it needs to be efficient for both governments and also for the individuals. I think if I don't live there, but if I lived in that area, I'd want to be able to know where I could go to get services and not have confusion as to who's providing that service and if I have a complaint, who do I go to? I'm concerned also about jumping, when we have detachments like that, when you've got something inside of another community, it's a form of urban sprawl. And that's what we're charged to try to prevent. with that said, I came in here tonight totally torn. To a certain degree, I still am. I think it needs to happen. This has got that. It's logical. I think the developer needs it. I think the city needs it. I think everything to happen in a logical way. That's kind of where I'm driven right now. And with that, I'll pass that back to the chair.
Commissioner Jones.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A lot of very good and very positive discussion has happened tonight. A lot of support, cheerleading, and again, positive comments for each person's position, district's position, city's position. I honor that civic engagement for each and every person here. The question here is about the staff recommendation, and the initial concern here is the proposed detachment of Rio Linda Parks and Rec District from the Park District and entering into City of Sacramento Parks Department. A couple things. One, the PAN is there because of protest provisions, because they did not want to be part of the City of Sacramento. That was a de facto political reality that was presented. When was that, Mr. Lockhart? 10 years ago?
The initial discussions have been gone on and off, and then most strongly asserted after 2010.
Mm-hmm.
Right, 2010 you said?
Correct.
All right. So part of this division business is because of the very legal, very appropriate protest divisions. The folks in the PAN did not want to annex to the City of Sacramento. So that's a lot of work had to go in to divvy up the handle versus the pan. So that needs to be out there. That's why that's set up this way, and it is messy. It is messy. Another item I'd like to share is several years ago, I won't put you on the spot, Dawn, on this one, but several years ago, this commission looked at potential reorganizations of various park districts. And the single most important item that was, or lesson that I learned, and I think the commission learned, is that parks and recreation districts are the contact for local people with their immediate government. The identity is humongous. I don't care if it's 1 square mile or 100 square miles. The identity for individuals' relationship with their Parks and Rec district is huge. It's huge, and it is not a function of size. Two other things. One is that by not detaching Rio Linda Parks and Rec, they have that contiguous border with the entire Panhandle. So their jurisdiction is not an island creator. They remain whole. That is a very important item. And with that, Madam Chair, I would like to propose a subsidiary motion to amend staff's recommendation and withdraw the proposed detachment of the Park District from the rest of the staff recommendation.
Okay. Do we have any other comments at this time? If not, I can make comments. I was going to wait till the end, but I will weigh in. First thing I want to say is I want to thank the landowners and the City of Sacramento and all the service providers and the county staff and LAFCO staff who have worked diligently on this application and taken all of our calls. I'm sure that it's been a busy time. And I know there's been a lot of discussion, so I'll try not to duplicate too much, but in the interest of trying to, I guess, share from my heart how I feel about this issue, I first want to talk about the tax sharing agreement. actually, the first thing I want to talk about is what the Park District means to a community. This is an example. This is the communications, the emails, 728 emails that I have received opposing the annexation of the handle away from Rio Linda Rec and Park. So that kind of gives you an idea of, and this is since July of 2018. This doesn't mention communications that I've had prior to that. So it's clear that it is important to a community. Their local government is important, and in some of these outlying communities, like in the unincorporated county, the local leaders are those who are in the water district or in the park district, and they're the ones that are organizing community and economic development there, and they're the heart. They're the heart of what makes those areas do well. So I want to talk a little bit about the tax sharing agreement. It was passed by the county. It was negotiated by the county and the city of Sacramento. It's part of the revenue and taxation code that says that in the event that there's going to be a jurisdictional change, that the county will negotiate on behalf of the park district, even though this is an independent park district. And annexations are supposed to be revenue neutral. An example of revenue neutral to me in my experience is when I was on the city council in Citrus Heights, prior to my time on the council in Citrus Heights, when Citrus Heights became a city, the county did really well in negotiating a tax sharing agreement for themselves. In order for Citrus Heights to become a city, they had to pay 25 years of their property taxes away to the county, but they still assumed responsibility for their city roads. And that's a large number. That revenue neutrality law came about because Citrus Heights wanted to be a city and the county didn't want to let all those revenues go, and there were challenges with those negotiations. And that will be up in, I believe, the end of 2023, at which time Citrus Heights will then get $6 million a year that they haven't been getting, and that's been escalating over time, over 25 years to the county. It wasn't a flat fee; it escalated over time. Same with Rancho Cordova. They negotiated. The county negotiated 20 years. So my first question is, with tax sharing agreement, who decides what is revenue neutral? How do you? That's a subjective. That's something you negotiate. And in this case, for the Rio Linda, for this small park district, and I want to back up just a little. This park district was formed, I believe, in 1994 or so, 93 or 4. And the sphere of influence was approved in 1996. So because of what I consider to be questionable, or I wouldn't call that sound planning principles when you set up a district that has to fight for their, territory from almost the day they were established. And I believe that means they're invested. They're very invested. The other thing I want to point out is that the tax sharing agreement splits 50-50 over 5 years what Rio Linda, Alberta is earning right now out of the handle. And the rationale, I believe, for that, correct me if I'm wrong, is that the Alberta specific plan will kick in within 5 years. They'll start to build enough homes to replace that $2,500 a year, and that's what makes this revenue neutral.
That's part of the rationale. The payment is actually not is coming 100% out of the city's share of the future revenues, future property tax revenues. So it's 50-50 down the middle, city, county, and the city of that 50%, they would be contributing $2,500 for 5 years to the district. It was viewed as, since there's no capital investment there, there's no resources to have to be conveyed back from the district to the city. Their existing revenue stream out of the area is $2,500. 5 years, hopefully we give them, the district, an adequate amount of time to adjust their finances.
Okay, I would submit that there is an investment there. I would submit that over time, the Rio Linda, Alberta Recreation and Park District, it does have a master plan that they have updated over time. There was a financial investment associated with that. It did include consideration of the handle. They have looked forward to servicing the handle over time. So there is an investment. It depends on what you consider to be an investment. I also want to bring up the fact that I was told by the landowner's representative, Mr. Hodgson, that the development in the handle will build out around 1,600 homes, and that will probably take 10 or 15 years. So if you're looking for revenue neutrality, it would seem to end the 2,500 at 5 years leaves them another extra 5 to 10 years or more, given their experience with Alberta Specific Plan, which is decades behind, that the city is actually receiving those revenues, even however small. It's not revenue neutral. To me, revenue neutrality is taking into consideration the revenues and the expenditures, and historically, revenue neutrality to me has shown that there is some kind of an escalation clause to make those the other entity whole. I would like to see I understand that we cannot go back and renegotiate the tax sharing agreement, but I would like to see us consider giving a second, another chance at a more equitable agreement. I think that the Rio Linda Recreation and Park District deserves something better than 5 years at $2,500 a month. And given the fact that the city of Sacramento, I understand your side. I understand where you're coming from, but I'm like Mayor Pro Tem Ashby. I'm coming from Rio Linda, and I'm trying to figure out a way that this can be more equitable. Because once this is annexed, and I support the annexation, I support the development. I don't have a problem. I get, that all the other service providers, it makes perfect sense for them to cross over, and they feel like it makes perfect sense. But Rio Linda Alberta Parks doesn't. They don't want to lose the services. So if there was a way to make, to come together with a more equitable side agreement that gives them not only consideration for their current revenues, but something over a long period of time that escalates, and you could even have it end when the handle is built out, so that there's a cutoff sooner than that timeline if the handle completely builds out. I think I don't know what that looks like. I don't even want to negotiate it. What I really want is a proper negotiation where the two sides come together and they each gives up something, and they walk away feeling like, okay, that's the best we could do. That's what I would like to see for Rio Linda, so that they can have get something out of this, so that there can be some sense of, we didn't, maybe, they don't oppose the annexation, so maybe we didn't keep our services, but at least maybe we can get something out of this. So I would like to see a retake on another look at a side agreement before we do this annexation. I would support the annexation and all the service providers. I can't promise that I would support annexation of the district, but what I can say is it would go a long way to making me feel like it's more fair if they were treated a little bit better in that tax sharing agreement or in a separate agreement. I also want to reiterate that there were conversations around this island, and there's comments in Cortese Knox about exceptions that can be made if you don't if in order to form an island there can be certain conditions where you can waive restrictions and form an island. And I'm pretty sure that policy relates to cities, but if it relates to Park District, I want to say that the handle can be developed without annexing Rio Linda Rec and Park. The fact that the city went forward with, and the county and everybody went forward with a finance plan that wrote them out of the plan basically over the last 4 years. If they had they could have written them into the plan. They could have made arrangements to parse out park fees to retain services in the handle. That was possible. It just wasn't done. I don't think it's accurate to say that the Rio Linda Rec and Park is not qualified to deliver the same service. That's just not true. Rio Linda Rec and Park has an excellent reputation. They've done an amazing job over time. They offer a wide variety of services, just like Sacramento Parks, and they have the wherewithal to do whatever is needed in a community. They have, dog parks, fields, soccer fields, picnic areas, skate parks, pickleball, tennis, playgrounds, horse arenas, midget racing, community center, rentals, youth recreation, youth classes, senior programs, a multitude of recreational programs that they offer the community, and they do it all within their budget and never did reduce their services during the downturn. So they've done a great job, and sadly, this situation, because of the way their park district was formed, this situation is basically penalizing them, even though they have delivered excellent service. And finally, I want to go back to the LAVCO policies and procedures, and we can argue both sides of this, but there is that Chapter 5, Section C, Item 1, that talks about the policy that manages whether or not you can remove, detach a district, detachment of territory from a quality service provider. And this special district is a quality service provider. So in the policy, it states that all three have to be. It says the detachment, it lists that the detachment is necessary to ensure delivery of services essential to the public health and safety. The successor provider supplies services of equal or higher quality, and the word "and" means all three of those have to be correct. That the detachment does not significantly reduce the efficiency of service delivery to the remaining inhabitants and current service providers' territory from which the detachment occurred. I would submit that Rio Linda can deliver, for item A, the detachment is necessary to ensure delivery of services essential to the public health and safety. Rio Linda can deliver services essential. It isn't necessary to annex this in order to deliver those services. The successor provider supplies services of equal or higher quality, define higher quality. The city does not currently provide, recreation services to Natomas. They did cut back services in their park district during the economic downturn. They admitted that, and this penalizes an adequately functioning district who actually has provided good services. And then finally, the detachment does not significantly reduce the efficiency of service delivery to the remaining inhabitants of the current service provider's territory for which the detachment occurred. A large portion of the revenues from the handle are going to be transferred from the Rio Linda, Alberta Park District, and they will go to the Sacramento City Regional Park District. So all the money that comes from the handle is not going to go to just the handle. There's money that feeds into whatever district collects that money. And so basically what this does is it shifts those revenues so that Sacramento it helps them build their regional park system. And I get that. I get that they want that. But that is an investment that the Rio Linda Parks, that's something they have that is being taken away. And so that's where we go back to what is fair and what is revenue neutral. In closing, I just want to say that I support development. I support the annexation. I get that we need more housing. I understand the rationale relating to annexing the other service providers. I can support the I understand that this is something we want to vote all at once. I would like to make a friendly, I don't know, did you make a second motion?
Yes, ma'am. I made a subsidiary motion to amend staff recommendation to proceed with annexation and withdraw the detachment item for the parks.
I would like to ask if we can continue this item and have the City of Sacramento and the Park District and the landowners go back to the table to negotiate an agreement that is more it's not a tax sharing agreement. It is a side agreement that is more equitable for Rio Linda Rec and Parks. I think it's clear that this board, it kind of looks like we support annexation. We're trying to figure out how to make something this more palatable for the Park District, rather than just, you're out 5 years down the road, you're out. And so I would like to see if we can have that conversation, go back to the negotiation table and negotiate something that gives them not only their annual fee, but some escalator, something over a long period of time, that it could be a percentage of whatever their revenues are. It doesn't have to be half. I don't know what that number looks like. It would have to be negotiated between the Park District and the city and the landowners. But surely we're close. We're close to everyone having a deal that's equitable and making it something everyone can walk away from. And I would like to see it go down that way. And so I'd like to, I don't know if this can be, is this the third subsidiary? Second subsidiary. Third motion to go back to the negotiation table.
If you're talking about a third substitute motion, we have to vote on one of these motions before you get
unless
three.
the second one fails for lack of a second. If Gay Jones doesn't have a second, then it fails for lack of a second. You can make your substitute.
Then that's clarified. So you want everybody to get together and talk about it some more.
Right.
I can
clarify your motion.
Gay Jones is making a motion to annex everything but the Park District. And is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. I believe the statement would be to go forward with the annexation, but withdraw the detachment part of the recommendation.
The detachment of the Park District.
Correct.
Just
So
the Park District.
Just the Park District. So the Park District stays whole with contiguous boundaries with the potential future revenue from that area.
Okay.
And everything else proceeds with annexation to the city of Sacramento.
I can second that motion, and I believe we have some more individual board members signed up to speak. So
Chris can go before me.
Commissioner Little.
Like Commissioner Aquino, this is my first meeting, and I have to say it's been an interesting baptism in the LAFCO process. I appreciate the robust discussion we've had by all, and I support the annexation and detachment proposed by staff, and I would be opposed to this amendment.
Okay. Commissioner Ashby.
I will be as brief as I can. So my understanding is we have a substitute motion made by Commissioner Jones, seconded by Chair Frost. And that substitute motion has been stated. I will not restate it. My request is of my colleagues to please vote no on that item and understand that a yes vote for that item is unprecedented and untenable. It means that you would be saying that the city of Sacramento would not be allowed to provide their own park services inside the city of Sacramento. So I am asking you to vote no on the substitute motion and continue your support of yes on the primary motion once the substitute motion, should it fail. Thank you.
Call the question.
Yes, please, call the question.
Okay, are we working on the substitute motion now?
Yes.
Okay.
Calling the question on the substitute motion.
So, all in favor of...
We're pushing the buttons here.
Pushing buttons.
All in favor of annexing the city and not the Park District? So it's yes if you want to annex the city without the Park District.
That is correct.
Wait. Say it again? Yes, if I say...
If you agree on the substitute motion to annex the city but do not annex the Park District? Yes.
So please vote.
Please vote. Okay, motion to annex the city without the Park District fails.
Can I ask for a clarification here? Patrick Kennedy isn't on this board.
I think I'm Patrick Kennedy, because I'm not on there. I'm a lot cuter than Patrick Kennedy.
It still fails.
That's for sure.
It still fails. Okay, this is
Just for the record, that is correct.
I'm Patrick Kennedy?
Yeah, well, no, that Patrick Kennedy was a mistake, and it should have been answered
on the original motion.
Okay, I would like to make another substitute motion.
That we called the question on the original motion.
I just called the question on the original motion. We need to vote on that first.
Can I make another substitute motion?
Take that vote first.
Prior to
take
that vote?
first.
Subsidiary motions take precedent.
As the chair, you can make a subsidiary motion.
Okay. I would like to make a subsidiary motion to table the approval and go back to negotiations for a better side agreement that is more equitable for the Rio Linda Recreation and Park District, and then come back and vote on all of it all at one time.
And I'll second that.
Okay, before we vote,
okay,
I'll make a quick comment. With all due respect, Chair Frost, you made the same request at the county hearing, the exact same request.
Not the same request. This is a request for a side agreement.
finish?
It's not a request for tax sharing agreement.
Let me finish. You asked the city to go back and talk to the Rio Linda Parks District again, and we delayed the county vote to do so, and there was no change. This has been discussed for over a decade. Nothing will change.
Decades.
Yeah, 2 decades. Agreed, thanks. So I am asking my colleagues again to please vote no on the substitute motion, and then calling the question on the primary question.
And I'm asking, please vote yes out of fairness to the small district.
Or delay.
Okay.
And my quick comment is all this is based on the Revenue and Taxation Code 99, which gives authority to the city and to the county to sit down and negotiate tax revenue sharing agreements. Special districts are not included, and that's part of the rub of this discussion that you're seeing now. Special districts are excluded from the authority for the negotiating table. point of information.
I would make the comment, however, that it's the county's procedure to have the two parties get together. In this case, the Park District and the city were in the room discussing this, and they couldn't come to agreement, so it came to the Board of Supervisors, who went ahead and voted in the majority for what you see in front of you
I
now.
believe there's something better that could happen now based on where we're at in these
we're
negotiations.
voting on this right now.
Okay. Any other comments? What are we voting on? We're voting on approving all of them. Can we separate out?
Just for the record,
already have a motion and a
what you're
second.
voting on are the two resolutions before you to approve those, I believe.
We're voting on my my
Oh, I'm sorry.
motion.
I'm sorry. The subsidiary motion. I apologize.
Subsidiary motion to go back to the negotiation table. If you vote, please vote. If you wish to go back to the negotiation table and carry this forward to the next meeting or whenever. Okay, motion failed. I'm not doing good tonight, am I? Okay, now we have the original motion that was on the table, which was to approve the annexation and
recommendation.
Staff's recommendation. I would like to know if I can vote yes on the annexation and no on the annexation of Rio Linda, so that I would like to vote.
That's not the motion.
That's not the motion. You have to vote on the motion before
Can we
you.
separate it out so that those who would like to support the annexation can?
That motion, I believe, was already heard by you.
It was.
Oh,
Yes, ma'am, that was mine.
It already failed.
okay.
Yes, ma'am.
You need to vote.
All right. We're voting
On staff's recommendation.
on staff's recommendation.
Okay.
Okay. Motion carries, and congratulations, City of Sacramento.
Thank you.
I fought for you guys.
She tried really hard.
I did. Okay. Next item, please.
If we could please exit the chambers quietly, the meeting is still in session. The next item,
Session. Can we postpone closed session for those of us who have early meetings in the morning?
Yes, please.
We'll continue it to the next meeting.
Do you need a motion to continue?
It would be
It's been a
Motion to
long
continue
night.
what?
and
to continue the closed
Balance.
session item to the next meeting. You could
Oh,
have that motion.
This time sensitive that we have this closed session tonight? Is it imperative?
Yes, we did.
Say that again.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have a motion to continue? Do we have a motion? Did you move that?
I'm moving to continue the closed session item to the next
Okay,
I will second
Chair
that.
will second. Commissioner
And a
Greenwood
quick
will
comment.
second.
Sorry.
who's our second?
Please vote. Commissioner Greenwood.
I have a request pending, just to make sure. Does this impact any finances for our employees?
We can
if
backdate it.
postpone this?
You can, what we were thinking of, we can always backdate it.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
We can backdate it, make it
Right on.
effective at a certain date.
1 more month, yeah.
Did we vote?
I got two more, Greenwood
Are we
and Little,
voting
please
or no?
vote.
Chair, call for the
Greenwood,
Commissioner Greenwood.
Okay, please vote.
thank you. All in favor, motion passed, thank you.
By the way, thank you very much for the plaque. That was very nice.
All right.
It's like,
And with that, do you have any closing comments, Mr. Lockhart?
No comments. I enjoyed the deliberations of the commission.
Okay, any other comments from commissioners?
I just want to thank my colleagues for your support of the City of Sacramento. Thank you very much.
Okay. And with that, this meeting is adjourned.